And we should be now live. And then we'll see how it works. I'll give it a bit of time for it to sort itself out, because it might take a little bit of time for it to be able to do stuff. And it's also useful for me to be able to actually, here we go. And it will be really useful is if someone can join and tell me whether or not the audio is satisfactory. Otherwise people might just be like, yeah, I can't hear nothing. Can't hear nothing. Here we go. Right, let's start doing it. Bam. Join the stream. Okay, we'll see if this works. Bam, 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 bam. I don't know if you're able to do that. I might also be able to do this. You can actually maybe check to see if the audio is good or not. Oh dear. Okay, we'll see if it works. Hopefully it works. And then I will start recording shortly, and I can put it up as a separate video as well. Or I could just release it as a live stream video. Also works. Maybe I should have got beer. It's a weeknight. Oh, I got my sponsored Diet Coke instead. You can see the stream, that's good. Yeah, so there should be a slight delay. I don't know how long the delay lasts. It's probably like 10 seconds to say. Oh, I'm just drinking Coke now in the stream, so that's what my computer thinks. Can you hear me on it? That's probably a better question. I think it works. I don't think you were talking. Oh, no. I know why you can't hear you. This is why we check these things. Now try and talk? No, I need to add an audio in. Audio input capture. So nice. Bart is telling me that he can hear us. Thank you, Bart. Appreciate you. I feel like I should be able to do a different way of doing it. I feel like one of these should be able to do it. I want to say that it's... I don't know, maybe it's audio output I need a bit of output. Here we go. Let's try this one. I'm going to need you to talk for me.
Yeah, talking now. Going to talk about some exciting new kill teams and changes to existing kill teams that hopefully make them a little bit better for the most part.
Nice.
A bit worse for the ones that deserve it.
That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, talking now. Going to talk about some exciting new kill teams.
Okay, look at that. Seamless. People there thinking that we don't know what we're doing. Okay, anyway, we have people watching now, so I think it's probably best that we get started. If you're in the chat, hey, hello, welcome to a pretty awesome day because it's Dataslate Day, and we're going to talk through all the changes and talk about how I think they're going to impact the meta. So I will start recording, and we go live. So hello and welcome to Turning Point Tactics. Welcome to the January 2026 Balanced Data Slate discussion. I am joined by the amazing Simon from the Lincolnshire Killteam group. For those who don't know, Simon is the mastermind behind the Talkify page, helping us organise all the Killteam events in the country, which is awesome. And not just that, but he's also one of my sort of play partners in Lincolnshire, where I live. So he gets to have the fun of playing against some of the new teams like Murderwing, and probably has some thoughts on them, but we'll see.
Only a few thoughts.
only a few. Okay, cool. So let's get straight into it. If people are watching the stream and they notice there's any audio issues or anything like that, please let us know. I'm going to try and keep it going as best I can. This is the first time we're doing a live stream from this setup, so we'll see what happens. But January 2026 Balanced Data Slate. Into the first changes, the changes to approved ops. So we've got two changes here. The recon tac op for flank change and the retrieval change. So I'll cover flank if you want, and then you can cover retrieval if you want, Simon. But so firstly, for flank, it's just in the fourth turning point, if friendly operatives also controlled that flank at the end of the third turning point, you score 2 VP instead. So the... Ooh. Oh, I know why. I know what the issue I've got here. Sorry. I made it so this is an unlisted stream. So therefore no one's going to be able to find us. People don't know what's happening. But let me solve that real quick. People can, if I do this, only people who are following the links. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Oh god, don't do that. This is me not being very proficient. Give me two seconds. Because now, if I go public and publish, we might find that we get more people join the stream now if they can actually find it.
Oh.
You never know. You might see that more people actually find the stream. Okay. Cool. Let's go and chat now about the flank change. So yeah, so fourth turning point only, you get the 2 VP for having previously controlled a turning point. I think it's quite a big change because realistically, like, now you can't just do that, like, I'm going to score 5 by taking one flank and then just sitting on that flank all game. You actually now have to commit to both flanks throughout. So I think that's quite a significant change when it comes to the way flank plays. And I think it's a welcome nerf. It's probably the only nerf that Felgor are going to get. Foreshadowing, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it is a good change to flank. When I played it previously with Vespids, you test the waters on turn 2 and see which flank you think you can then just lock down for the rest of the game.
And that's it. Like it just means that you have to commit more models, right? Annoyingly, I've just done a guide on recon archetypes, which is on the Patreon, and it's immediately out of date, which is cool. That's fine. But like, yeah, this is a good change. It's going to impact, as I said, the recon teams. You have to commit more models forward. You can't just sit in one flank. But if you are getting attrited, you still have the option on the last turning point, just to commit to one flank, which is a nice change. Retrieval. You want to take that one, son?
Yes, so an operative cannot perform this action during the first turning point while within control range of an enemy operative, and now if it's already carrying a marker, which I think is a targeted hit on Canoptic to stop the Geomancer collecting tokens from across the board.
Yeah, this is basically just like stop doing ridiculous things with your picking up every single objective marker from your obelisk nodes. A good change. Again, like weirdly affects like mine carriers and stuff a little bit maybe. But
I was thinking the exact same thing.
But for most people, this is a good change. I think you can't just run and collect all of the various retrieval items with one operative, and then if you die, not be able to pick them up again, which is what happened previously. So now you just can't pick them up in the first place, which is good. So yeah, that looks like a positive change for me. Let's roll straight in to the universal equipment change. Now, as a Vespid player, you're probably thinking, "Yeah, this looks pretty good." Like,
This is very exciting.
so once per battle, when a friend operative performs a breach action, you can use this rule. If you do, the operative can perform the action for 1 less AP to a minimum of 1 AP, as though it has the word breach marker on its data card. So on the Tomb World maps I see this being useful is any map where the breach point isn't directly on your like home deployment line, right? And you have to move up to it, because there's like a Vespid team, you're like, oh cool, I have to move up to that, and only the Grenadier does he even have the Grenadier keyword? I think he does.
No, the Vespids have no one that can do it for 1 AP. It really hurts.
So sad. But William Man with a mine can. Thoughts?
Yes, he uses his mine and then gets it back afterwards after he's blown a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
I think the breaching charge is really useful for 2 AP teams that otherwise have to wait an entire turn cycle and then commit someone for their only activation is to breach the wall.
Right.
And then just stand there.
And I think this is going to be useful in those situations whenever it comes up. So, hey, it's good. I actually like the idea of having some map-specific equipment options. So to like people that are watching, listening, whatever, like what map-specific equipment options do we need to fix Beta Decima? Let's hear it in the comments. There must be something. Jump pads where like you do a jump whatever and it gives you boost. I don't know. Springboards. There must be something that is going to be able to get people playing Beta Decima more. The other change is part of the Tomb World changes, which is actual to the breach rule itself. This one's a little bit more hidden, so most people might not necessarily spot this unless you know to go looking for it, which is essentially that if you reduce the APL cost for breach now, you can't do a charge or a shoot, which just kind of levels out the ability of teams to be able to get through these hatchways, and it means that teams like Deathwatch with their servo skull can't be too oppressive with their servo skull. So yeah, entryway markers is a suggestion. I need to know what entryway markers means. Yeah, so I think that's probably a decent change, I think, and I don't really have too much more to say about it unless you've got anything that you want to throw in, Simon.
No, I don't think so. It's a stealth nerf to teams on Tomb World that have access to equipment like the Servo Skull and Servo Thrall that can reduce it in a way that it wasn't using your weapon. So you can be more, you don't have to be quite so cautious around the breach points. They're not going to get taken out with you not expecting it, I feel. Yeah.
I think so. One of the things that I would like to see added so it's like the Grenadier keyword, right, and it's the mine keyword. I would like it if you had a brutal weapon, you should be able to punch through it for 1 AP as well. I think that would be a cool change. A lot of the melee teams have brutal; they don't have anything else. It gives you the ability to actually then use a different means of being able to get through these hatchways for teams that may not have it inherently, or just hand out more Grenadiers, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, I think it's a good change. People have suggested for Beta Decima that you remove the water, or you just be able to give people more cover. I think potentially you just give people the ability to have an additional equipment item. It might go down well. Into our first team though, it's Angels of Death, and I think for the cool factor, this is a really awesome change. So 2 things have changed. One is you can now take both the sniper and the heavy intercessor, which is nice. And the other one is the heavy intercessor has got a bolt pistol, which is also nice. The alternative to that, I guess, was making it so that he could shoot for 1 AP, like both times. But maybe that was too strong, so they're like, no, just have a bolt pistol, which at least means that you can now move shoot twice, which was really needed because in comparison, like when you were comparing the Eliminator and the heavy intercessor, like one was very, very good, and you're going to take him every single time, and one was garbage, and you can probably guess which one was which. So this actually means that now you have an option to go shooty, and I think that's good, and I like that change. And I think, in my opinion, Angels of Death are in a good place in the meta right now. I think they have some interesting counter picks when it comes to the big bads like Wolf Scouts, and then seeing Canoptic Circle get nerfed is a good thing for them. But I do think they are scared of Wreckers. So, any thoughts that you have on Angels of Death?
I think it's a good change. I think it helps add a bit more variety to the team, especially after we've seen teams like Deathwatch, Wolf Scouts, and Murderwing coming out that gets a chance to use all its specialists. It feels as though Angels of Death were living really far in the past, that they couldn't just take the heavy bolter as well as the sniper.
And
I think there's still a few occasions where you don't take the heavy bolter, but it's nice that it's now always an option, because the eliminator was always making the cut, so the heavy bolter could never get used.
Yeah, for sure. And it gives you another access to 4-5 shooting. So for a lot of people, like now, I think your default can be captain, sniper, heavy bolter, the standard intercessor gunner, the grenadier, and then a assault intercessor, and then you've got essentially 3 melee operatives that can move forwards, and you've got 3 shooting operatives that can lock down flanks. You've got access to 3 different sets of blast. You've got access to silent shooting. You've got the long range shooting. You've got 4-5 damage. I think that's a pretty good staple for most teams. And like, if you are brand new to the game, it's pretty cool that you've probably painted up this heavy intercessor. You want to put him on the table. So I think it's good. Paolo thinks that it's a good change, and I agree with him. So let's roll into the next one, Battleclade. Do you want to? Have you played Battlecade before? Do you want to talk about this? Because
I have played Battlecade, yes.
Okay.
So there are a few changes to Battlecade. I was reading the change to the Underseer as the first one, and I think it's really interesting that they took away the additional dash in exchange for probably making CP. It's a lot of hoops to make CP. You've got to have operatives within range of him or the autoproxy, and then you've got to control objective markers as well. Notably, it's objective markers, not mission markers. I know that Battlecade are quite fond of dropping plenty of steel intelligence markers because they can benefit from the balanced on it. So that it doesn't say mission marker means that you're locked into trying to hold 2 objectives for a 2/3 chance to make a CP. I think the Underseer would have been fine with... It would have been a long data card, but he would have been fine having this as well, because the number of times where his third action is normally wasted, he just sort of sits as a support piece. If he's moving around, it's normally because things are going wrong somewhere else on the table.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, I mean, sure, if you own all 3 objectives, then sure, you can generate CP for free. If you're owning all 3 objectives, you've probably won the game. So there is that. But I think the main thing that I'm taking from this, like the Battlecade changes. So the way I understand it, Nospheric Network, it used to be you subtract 1 from APL, you then do 1 action. But that would mean that you had less APL for objective control and that kind of thing. So now you don't subtract any APL, you just essentially you spend APL.
Yeah.
So if you have 2 guys on an objective and you have an elite sat on it, previously if you wanted to do a network counteract, it would then mean that you couldn't loot the objective, say, but now you can, which is a nice change. And everyone can move 2 inches with their action, but you can't get the dash. Is kind of like
it's got the
way I'm reading it. I think fine. Like, I don't know if it's going to change too much for the team. It's okay. Like, it's okay. But I think they might need a bit more than that, personally.
Yeah, they had the change to their equipment is also quite nice, that they'd no longer need to be ready when they're retaliating, because it was a piece of equipment that felt as though it was really good until you saw that you had to be ready, and then it meant if you weren't getting charged, if your opponent was activating after you and you'd already been with the operative, you just got no bonus from it. So it's nice now that it's a nice defensive melee buff that you get as just part of Battleclade.
Yeah. And I think the biggest change for the team, in my opinion, is the blast one. No, I'm obviously joking. The biggest change for the team is the neurocyclic reserve cells. You can now do the transfer power for 0p and still shoot or fight. I think that is a big change, because it means that now in your inactivation you can move, you can shoot, and then you can get someone else to then shoot. And the way in which it works now is you get to see when you want to do your transfers or not. So
Yes.
it's it gives you much more flexibility, rather than doing it I'm going to activate this guy and then you one shot them with a melter and you go, oh, I didn't need to do this. Now you have the flexibility to go, oh, let's see how this goes. Actually, I am now going to do this. So I like that change. I think that's useful. Yeah.
I think it's a change that they've been rolling out in a few places now, where operatives that get a free action or a free fight, something like that, they don't have to make that decision at the start of their activation. A bit like we saw with the Jaegers in the previous update, where they can add the APL at any point in their activation. I think that's been rolled out in a few places, a bit like it has with the reserve cells.
Yeah, absolutely. Say hello to all the new people joining for the chat. Hopefully you're all excited to see what the thoughts are on the game. But we've obviously talked about AOD already. We're into Battleclade. The final change on this we haven't touched on is the blast one for the Phosphor Blaster weapon. A few things on this, like the Hunterclade. Their Foster Blaster on the leader had Blast 1, so it never made sense to me that they wouldn't have Blast 1, so that's kind of nice now. I think it's good for your ITD, potentially, getting Lethal 5. You have Severe on it already, but just hatchways, the way hatchways are, teams often bunch up, so it gives the weapon a purpose, whereas previous to not having this rule, when you complain compare it to a flame or a melter gun, you're like, oh, never choose anything else, right? So I mean, it's probably still a weak weapon choice in my opinion. I don't think you're taking it most of the time, but
no, I think they were. Yeah, they were almost always, if you were not playing the medic, you just had one guy with the Phosphor Blaster because you needed a body.
Right, and you're just like, cool. Now actually, it's got some purpose to it, which is nice. So overall, I don't know if it's a side grade. I mean, some of the players that I know that play Battleclade are a bit worried about the loss of the dash. I kind of agree that is quite impactful. But now you've got a situational ability to gain some CP. The transfer power and the way the Newsferret network works means that there's less mental tax and more flexibility on your Newsferret network, which is good. So they're a bit easier to play, probably less cognitive load, which is nice. But overall, I don't necessarily think it's going to change anything based on the meta we're currently in. I think you're going to get torn apart by Murderwing and Wolf Scouts, and just hoping that you roll a 5-up, and that they don't roll crits. I don't think much of a strategy, but maybe that's just me. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents. Let's roll into Blazer Kane. They have nil changes in this meta. However, I do think that they have seen nerfs to a lot of the teams that were problematic for them. Now, there's probably still some problems out there, but this is, I think, a good data slate for Blades of Cain. They're probably much happier fighting Deathwatch now, with the sort of the damage reduction being way harder to achieve. Canoptic Circle being less killy is nice. So although they got no changes, if everyone else you're fighting against gets worse, you kind of get a buff in a weird way, right? So yeah, that's Blades of Cain. Same really for Blooded. Not too much more to say on them. And weirdly, Brew Brothers didn't get touched, and I am surprised about this, because I thought, I in my opinion, is that Brew Brothers are one of the better teams, particularly better Horde teams, but they're just below the threshold right now, I think, of being too good. So they're getting away with it. But I think the issue for Brood Brothers is so the two main problematic teams. Let's go Wolf Scouts and Murderwing. I think are able to double kill really, really effectively against this sort of team, and I'm not too sure how you deal with that. And I believe that the changes to the how have I forgotten the Magus means that you have to choose now between ignoring stun or between ignoring piercing or injury rate. So they have to make that decision, and if you're against like the new Murder Wing, who can hand out stun like crazy and also has some plasma pistols, you're now like, oh, do I ignore the APL mods and then get locked up in combat, or do I ignore like the piercing? And I think you're probably most of the time going to be saying, okay, I'm going to try and ignore the APL mods, and then you get injured and they're less effective. Sorry, I think it's going to make it a little bit harder for them. But any thoughts on any of those teams?
I think it'd be nice to see some internal balance within Brood Brothers to maybe make the Primus and the Patriarch turn up a little bit more, because whilst the Magus is a good operative, it's always nice when an actual choice has to be made, whereas now I don't think there's any real choice between those three operatives. The Magus is just the best of the three of them.
Yeah, Kate Comedian says Brood Brothers should have got a buff to the Patriarch, so he's faster than a halfling. Which, to be fair, you know, like it's got a point, right? Because the amount of teams now that are moving like ridiculous speeds, and the Patriarch's like, no, I'm a slow boy. I didn't even move 9. Is worthy of note. But let's roll on to the big baddie in the room that everyone probably wants to know our thoughts on. The current meta king that is Canoptek Circle. Will this be enough? It's probably the question that everyone wants to know, right? Will this be enough? So, first up, accurate 2 on the Matrix goes down to accurate 1. That is actually massive when it comes to the output of the team. And also against melee teams is massive when it comes to survivability of the team as well. And the amount of damage that you can put out. So that's a straight up significant nerf to Canoptek Circle, which I am very much happy to see. Won't lie about it. Then we have the Canoptek Control action, which is during that action it cannot move more than 2 inches, or must set up hold within 2 inches of its movement set up again, which is I think a consistent thing for essentially the teleport pads. So basically saying on Team World you can't command someone to teleport to the other side of the map and get away with it. I'm pretty sure it's the only time it comes up. I guess you have the breach action as well, which they could maybe theoretically do it on, but I can't remember if it was a caveat or not. So that's good that that's been removed. But main thing is you can't teleport. And then finally, you can't do the Canoptek Control action while counteracting. This just reduces the sort of all the various levels of spam that you can get, which I think is a good change. I'll just run through. I'll run through the rest of them and then let's talk about it. So, if you use the reanimate rule, you have to end the activation in the control range or on the matrix, and then you subtract 1 from its APL stats for both operatives. Previously, my understanding was they didn't subtract 1 from their APL, and so they would revive, not lose any APL, and just be cool, and they could just chill where they were. That's good. So that's a nice little efficiency change when it comes to the reanimates. And then the big hits that is going to be important, which I think is pretty cool for like how the team plays and how they should play in my mind, is the warriors have got nerfed across the board when it comes to their offensive output. So melee is down to 3 attacks. The Gore Scalpel, which is the P1 gun, is now 2-3 damage, not 3-4 damage. So no like random spike one-shotting Marines or whatever, something like craziness that happens. The Tesla is reduced from 5 attacks down to 4 attacks. So again, a reduced damage output, but you keep your damage of 3-4 or 3-3, 3-4. I forget, it's 3-3. But you have less attacks now. And then finally, when you die and you roll your dice, you're now capped at 1 damage rather than potentially scoring even more. So for me, I think that is a really good set of changes when it comes to Canoptek Circle, right? Because the Macrosite warriors are supposed to be like a little small ceaseless scuttling horde that turn up and do stuff. not like now they just like before they would just kill stuff that they shouldn't be killing, and then if you try to kill them in melee, they're accurate 2, and then they would be like 4 attacks, so they would often get like 3 hits, which means you can't parry them out, and then they strike you, you kill them, they blow up and do damage to you. So all the melee teams just found themselves trying to chew through these guys and really struggled. So I think these are good changes. What thoughts have you got, Simon?
I think I agree that I think the changes to the Warriors, I think they've done enough in hitting them with in a few different ways just to make them so that they are closer to that scuttling expendable warrior as opposed to a model which can easily kill like far above what it should. I think the change to the canoptic control, that it can no longer be done while counteracting, is a really important change. I think that was being able to double up on things like your healing and such, just limiting that is a big part of it as well. I think that they're probably still quite good. I know it's only down to accurate 1, but they've still got some really nasty tools to access. So I think that I'm hoping it's enough to tone down the win percentage, but I think they're still a strong team.
Yeah, I think my take's going to be like down, not out, right? Like they
Yeah.
are, they're definitely not like out of this when it comes to the fight. In my opinion, I think their play style largely is unchanged from the way in which I read it. I mean, don't be wrong. Like we're changed from the previous days of all the expendable guys being able to score all the attack ops and that sort of stuff, and so that's gone. But now the warriors that are before going out scoring points and doing damage are now doing less damage. And if you're a melee team, it probably feels way better to play into them because there's a chance that you kill them and you don't just lose an operative on your own. So I think these are all good changes. Luke from the Brighton Killteam has said that he's played a game today. The reliability is down, but they still have the good tools, and now you have reason to take cracks, which is absolutely correct because previously just the 3-4 piercing 1 with accurate 2 was just so good. I don't think you needed to necessarily take cracks, but now I think there's a reason for that equipment. But I think you're right. Like, I think A tier. I think they're still good. I think they're still going to do pretty well. But I'm happy to see that their damage output is significantly down from where it was with their expendable warriors. So their warriors now are just like mission monkeys, kind of what they should be, but they're not going to be just spiking and killing people too easily because they're pretty much 2-3 across the board for their weapons. So you need to be getting like, I don't know, a ridiculous amount of hits through to be able to kill stuff. And accurate 1 versus accurate 2 for those 5 attack big guns that they have with piercing is just huge. Like it's so big because with accurate 2 and piercing 1, whatever your opponent rolled, it didn't really matter. You rolled 3 dice with ceaseless, and that's how much damage you were doing. Then your opponent got to figure out how many dice that they and how well they rolled afterwards. And I'm like, that is just gross. So I'm happy to see those nerfs. It's good for the meta, good for everyone. Sorry, Canoptech, not sorry. All right, the first nerfs of the new teams, the Celestian Insidiants. So for those who don't know, I've put the faction rule up just so people can see which one it affects. But essentially, the Speak of Her Deeds, the Denuncia ability, is when you can remove someone's inspiring and then hand out a benediction as a result. But they have made it so it's excluding exigence. Exigence is that ability to do a free charge or dash. And I guess the main reason for this is that it becomes like really, I don't know, difficult to figure out what's supposed to happen when you remove someone's benediction, but you have to do a free dash or charge to get close to that person who's had their inspiring removed, I guess. And then you find yourself in this weird situation where on TB1 you can have someone that's dashing 3 inches forwards and then charging and killing people with an alpha strike, which I think is good that they haven't got that. Right? Like I think the game didn't need it. you don't need to charge forwards in turn 1 as sisters and kill people from 11 inches away. So I'm not sad to see this. And I also don't think it was actually probably the best thing to do with them, but separately. Any thoughts on the sisters? Have you actually played or seen the sisters yet?
I've seen the rules. I've not seen them on the table yet. But I would agree that removing that kind of ability to start slingshotting people forward on turn 1, I think, like you said, it may not be the best thing to be doing, but sometimes it can still be a real feel bad when out of nowhere someone charges you turn 1 or gets in range to shoot you when you thought you were safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And if people are interested in hearing more about the Celestian Insidiants, I recorded a deep dive with Bart on them. I talked through all of that. It's available on the Patreon. I'm not going to rehash it now because it's like a 2-hour long episode. But there's loads of good stuff that's in there, and you can hear all about how he wants to use accidents to do mean, horrible things to people. So yeah, check it out on the Patreon if you remember. Okay, Chaos Cult, no changes. Do you have any thoughts on this, Simon?
I think the Chaos Cults are in a reasonable place. They're probably quite happy to see some of the changes that have gone around to Canoptic, Deathwatch, and Wolf Scouts when we get to them. Wolf Scouts especially. They probably do quite like the new breaching equipment, I would say, with having a lot of GA2 operatives. So now they've got some options where someone could breach and the person could clear. So I think they probably like that piece of equipment for some of the 2 mod maps, but otherwise I think they will like some of the teams that are getting their nerfs in this round of the Dataslate.
100%. I think this is going to be a fantastic 3 months for for Chaos Cult. I think they're in a good place. So Wolf Scouts, like now melee teams can actually interact with them, which is nice, right? Whereas before, -1 attack, damage reduction, and all that sort of nonsense, and the way the retaliation worked just meant that you just, like, if you're -1 attack and you couldn't kill them in 2 hits, you're not going to get the 3rd hit through, all that sort of stuff. So you'll often then find yourself being hit by the retaliation damage as well, which just meant you just lost operatives in your own fight, and if they fought you, you would lose operatives against it. Now, and we'll cover off what Wolf Scout changes in future, that main problem child is gone, so this is a really big sort of change for Chaos Cult. I think they're going to really enjoy it. The fact that like Recon has got weaker, but their archetypes haven't, is a win. And the fact that most of the problematic teams like Deathwatch and that sort of stuff have got weaker is all a win. So for them, I think it's a good time to be a Chaos Cult player. I think they're going to be enjoying the meta personally, although they didn't get any changes. I think you can probably read this as Chaos Cult got a buff. So yeah, now the cool thing that I'm going to talk about is we haven't talked about any previously, is loads of the teams that are declassified have got balance changes, which I think is like shows that the Games Workshop is invested in keeping that like balance going. They want to make sure that people like get to keep playing with their toys and that sort of stuff. And the first one is obviously Corsair Voice Guard. I won't spend too long on it. But essentially just to know that the blink pack, you can now dash and do your blink pack. Previously they had restricted that. So nice little change. This makes the shade run a little bit faster, a little bit more interesting, and able to get around the map a little bit better, and means that the shade runner gets to use their faction rule, which was probably a fair thing for them to be able to do. Any thoughts on Corsairs? I know they're not a classified team. But
no, it's just it is nice to see that they're adding. And it has been adding things for the most part to the declassified teams, seeing them get a few tweaks. So I think, yeah, it'd be nice for those who want to crack out the Space Pirates again to dash a bit further.
Sweet. And speaking of other declassified teams, we have Deathcore. So they have got I think these are all really good changes. It's a bit of a shame they didn't get them sooner. So in Death Atonement, you can change your order now, so you can shoot on death, which is really good. So if you're spending that CP, you're going to be able to get some damage output, which is really nice. The Watchmaster got this additional rule, Bring It Down, which is Strategic Gambit, where if he's in the kill zone, select an enemy operative. Whenever a friendly Deathcore operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against that enemy operative, for operative to have the punishing rule. So again, just helps them out versus elites, does more damage, makes your plasma guns a lot better. It's something that I think people often miss out on. But Lethal 5 is great for that. And then also the Bruiser gets basically a strike on death. So some nice changes. Don't think it's going to massively tilt the needle on this. So I don't think they're going to become like the new big baddie. But also their declassifieds don't necessarily need to be. Any thoughts on Deathcore?
I was just looking at Deathcore and a few of the other changes to teams like Exaction and Kazakin through the eye of Inquisition, and I was just sad that nothing affected Inquisition. But no, I like these changes to Deathcore. I think punishing is a really good keyword for them to get particular targets, because they have a few different ways of getting severe as well, though that doesn't interact with it anymore, does it?
No, certainly not.
But
which is something that I think a few people missed from the Celestial Incidents. You can't stack severe and punishing anymore. Sadly, and neither rending. But yeah, that was Deathcore. All right, I get to be salty for a bit, right? That's the.
Ryan's real sad.
So, okay, it's not the end of the world, right? But this team is now less killy, less durable, and I think going to struggle into a lot more than they have previously. But you know, I get that a lot of people like viewed them as problematic. The interesting thing that I think is happening right now is Deathwatch aren't actually doing that well. I think like the last time I checked, they're like a 49% win rate. They're on a pretty average placing rate. And now they're going to get hit with some nerfs. So this is my like long-term view though, right? So hear me out. The good news is that we're going to drop below 45% win rate, okay? And that's fine, because then they're going to sort out the internal balance, and the Bombard and the Horde Slayer are going to get buffs, and that means that our team overall is going to get better, because they're going to change it. Do I need to up my volume? I don't know. See. Hope people can hear me. Let me know if you can't hear me, guys. I can up my volume. So, big changes. Veteran Astartes. You can now, if you use a Melter Bomb, you have to spend additional AP for your second weapon. This is really big for the Breacher guy. I was pretty much running him every single game, I think, with them. And now the Melter Bomb is just less flexible. So you're not going to be able to do that. Like it's also heavy reposition, right? So if you move and do the Melter Bomb, you're not doing anything else. So like it's really restrictive on the Breacher in what you can get away with him now. So you're sort of forced into, I think, using the bolt rifle and the grenade launcher potentially to be able to do that. But I mean, the Melter Bomb's still good. So there's going to be times where if someone runs up towards you and doesn't kill you, you can Melter Bomb them and then shoot someone else, which would be good, I guess. The other thing that has changed is you can't perform a fight and shoot during a counter action. So you have to do different actions, and you can't do double fight, you can't double shoot, you can't fight and shoot. So your damage output is reduced as well. And so the way that people would stage this previously is you would like shoot, you would charge yourself into melee, you would then fight that person in melee, and then you would shoot someone else, right? And that means that you can get this opportunity to be able to get multiple like kills and make the most out of your counteracts, whereas now it's a little bit hard to do. Against good players, it probably wasn't coming up that much anyway, if I'm honest. Like people needed to give you shots, and if they weren't giving you shots, it wasn't going to be a factor. So it is an output reduction, but hey. And then the other things they've changed is special issue ammunition. They've got rid of piercing 1, it's now piercing crits 1 instead. This bit of a shame, like it affects the sort of, I think, the weaker operatives on the team anyway. Most of the time you were taking this would probably be on the sort of the when you're shooting with bolt pistols or Willy the frag grenade. But now if you've got like lethal 5 or something from other means, like you're able to get it. And the other one is rending, making them harder or worse at killing elites. This really affects the killing potential on the leader's plasma pistol, because he used to be lethal 5, 4-5, piercing 1, and with rending it meant you often got like 2 crits and 2 hits, which meant that doing 14 damage would be much easier to achieve. So yeah, bit of a shame to see that go, because again, personal perception, but I didn't think they were too oppressive into other elite teams. Maybe that was just me. And then both of the defensive ploys, so the Long Vigil, which is the rerolls in defense, and the Shield that Slays, now require you to be wholly within either your territory for the reroll or the damage reduction in your enemy's territory, and it doesn't work versus critical damage, only normal damage, which is huge versus elves. So now Deathwatch versus elves, I think, is going to be like a really challenging matchup, and I think it favours most of the elven teams. And generically, like, I think this is like, all of these nerfs combined are huge to the durability of the team, because like being able to be within your opponent's territory and just toe the line, and then being wholly within is magnitudes difference of like threat exposure. Like the amount of terrain that's on the center line, or you were able to put like a barricade angled slightly at the center line, so you're just touching in to the opponent's territory and then getting this defensive buff, but now you can't, is huge. So now you are way more exposed, and it's going to be noticeable, I think. You've also played some Deathwatch though, Simon.
I have, yes. I've not played quite as much Deathwatch as you have. I would agree that I think that some of these changes were maybe they weren't the changes that I would have made to the team, other than perhaps the fight and shoot during the same counteraction. I can understand the changes to both the defensive ploys, making them wholly within so that you're not benefiting from both simultaneously. But I don't. Was there a solid team? I didn't think that they were truly dominating.
Yeah, that's kind of my take. I think I don't think they were dominant, but hey, long-term game plan, guys, it's fine. I think they're going to go below 45%. They'll then get a buff, and then we can go back to enjoying like the Bombard with 5 attacks on his 5/6 piercing one. That's what I'm saying. I'm calling it now. I think that's what, like, yeah. So Deathwatch, hey, I don't think it's a good meta for them, to be honest. I think Murderclaw is pretty good at killing Deathwatch operatives. Flying Melt Gun that goes after you is pretty gross. I think like Nemesis Claw is pretty good at killing you. I think Wolf Scout's pretty good at killing you. And so I think it's going to be a tough matchup for a lot of the Deathwatch players out there. But yeah, they're not terrible. They're still playable. So before I get too sad, Starstriders, if they got these changes when this team was still classified, I'd be picking this team up and playing them tomorrow, because my god, these are so good. These changes are so good for Starstriders. Like, reading it, I'm like, oh my god, this team is like insanely good. So you get 4 like warrants of trade, lovely. Like, you start off with 3 before, so you get an extra one of those, really good. Which means you get to use something like Coerce, where now you force your opponents to set up all of their operatives, and then you can set up all of your equipment before they set up theirs. So you can do all of the route blocking in the world that you want, or you can do all the route enabling that you want, and like you're good to go. So I think this is absolutely massive when it comes to this team. So, do you have any thoughts, Simon?
I wasn't expecting this, I'll be honest. When I saw that this was one of the teams that had their changes, I was not expecting Starstriders to get all these changes, and I agree, it's a shame that they didn't get these when they were classified, and they could have potentially... It's a real shot in the arm to them. I think they still struggle. I think they are a team carried over from last edition, that they can't compete quite as well against what some of the newer teams can do. But I also love Starstriders, and I'm really happy to see them getting a buff for when they get cracked out for the casual games.
Yeah, I think for me, it's definitely like an opportunity for them to get on the table, because these are also good. So the Coerce change is awesome. The State Claim is massive for their reliability. It also means that if you're fighting the melee teams like Felgor and that sort of stuff, you have a way to be able to actually kill them, which is nice. The changes to Hotshot capacitor packs means that they have a purpose. The Candid is now more usable. and like all of it is better. Like all of it is better. So hopefully that's like, yeah. I can't wait to go to a declassified tournament and put these guys on the table because it'll be fun. So those listening, I up to my volume again, so let me know if that helped. If not, I will try to continue to increase it and get louder and louder. We'll see how it goes. Or I can just start shouting. Let's not do that.
We've been past Deathwatch. You don't need to shout.
Okay, so it's uneven between the hosts. So it might be because I can turn you down. Give me 2 seconds. Cheers, Miguel. I appreciate that. Miguel even. And I'll update mine to be even louder. Anyway, let's go. Do you want to start reading rules whilst I start?
Yeah, I'll read exaction. So there's been changes to the leash master, which affects the dog for the team, which is you now select 2 of the attack patterns. So your choices were an additional 2 inches of movement, relentless on melee, and +1 to the defense roll. So it turned it to a 3+. So now getting 2 of these up is quite nice. So you can have the dog move forward on its faster movement profile with a defensive buff up, and then once you get it into melee, you can maintain the defensive buff after combat and keep relentless. Then Leash Master changes one of the patterns, changed the grenade launcher, so it's gone up to 5 attacks and damage dropped to 4/5, which I think is a good change for it. Just getting an additional dice to roll on the grenade launcher. The best you're really getting from it is balanced. You would be looking for the punishing that the team kicks around, so you were looking for crits, but just having an extra dice, I think, in this meta of elite teams is a nice change to get on that. The Revelatum's spotting, where they give out Seek Light, now requires the Revelatum to be within 8 inches, but then those other exaction squad that are shooting the target no longer need to be within 3, so it's a nice change that everyone across the board could shoot at the target that you've spotted, and it just requires the Revelatum to get a bit closer. And then the final change is to manacles, where you can only use the rule once per turning point to prevent falling back, and that's in line with the changes to chain snares as well that are kicking around for other teams such as Nemesis Claw.
Yeah, so I think that's probably a good change for the playability. For people listening, hopefully we're now at an even microphone volume. Please let me know, and I'll try and adjust it continually until it's good. Overall, I think these are great changes for Exaction Squad. I mean, yes, the manacles is a nerf, but I think actually that's probably a good nerf to have, because it can be quite oppressive when someone's passing the 4-ups every time and you just locked in melee before you can do anything. So I think that's a good change. I thought personally that the gunner and the leash master were one of the weaker of the operative choices. Only being able to hit on 4s, with balanced, sure. It just felt so swingy with 4 dice. So 5 attacks means that you're going to get some reliable damage out with that, hopefully. And then the change in attack patterns is good. So I'm hoping that this in general, because the generic changes you see to spot action and manacles are sort of across the board changes, and then they've got some targeted buffs to some of the models that are maybe a little bit weaker than normal. So I think this is good generally for the way that the team plays. I know that we've got Mikkel in the chat, I think, listening as well. So I'm now louder. I've turned you down too much and turned myself up too much. God, it's I will never win. I'll fix it in a second. Okay, so too loud. Fuck. Can you tell it's my first time? I'll eventually figure out these settings.
And then he'll forget them for next time.
Oh yeah, almost certainly.
While you sort those settings, this is also stealth Inquisition buff. So if you're taking the Leech Master or the Grenadier, now buffs on that. So now that the Inquisition could use, that you're taking the grenade launcher, it's 5 dice on ceaseless most of the time, which is quite nice.
I hadn't thought about that, but you're right though, right? So for the Inquisition stuff, it's a good change, right? But are you taking these guys in Inquisition, or are you taking the two Seductors and?
I don't know what the matchup would be that you're taking Exaction and taking the grenade launcher.
It doesn't seem to make sense to me. Like,
I'm not sure why, but it's nice. I'll take any buffs to Inquisition.
And the Weber is just so much better. But hey, let's keep pressing into Farstalker Kinband, where pretty much all of their weapon profiles in melee, or the ones that you care about, have gone to 3/5, right? So that's pretty cool. And a lot of them have access to Lethal 5, Double Resolve, Rending, I think. On the, is it the Stalker that's got Rending? So I think there's I think this might be a really good Farstalker Kinband meta right now. I know that they don't like killing the sort of Nemclaw like esque people, but I think genuinely they're going to be in a pretty good place. The ability to fight first when someone comes in to try and one hit you in melee means you're going to be able to get out some damage, which is quite nice. And when that damage is like 5 damage each hit, that can be quite a lot, and it just means that they're going to punch up into elites a lot better with, as I said, Lethal 5 with 3/5 it's a good profile, and it means that you're going to kill, I think, significantly more stuff than you had previously. So just overall, them becoming like more killy is pretty good, I think, for Kroot. And the dog got a nice buff as well, being able to do this stuff as well. Luke mentioned a good thing, by the way, about the Exaction Squad Grenade Launcher, where it can go up to 6 dice with the Mystic buff. So, good guard. Something we didn't need.
I can't wait to do it to someone.
Felgor Ravages. They're a team that got no changes. They don't like the change to flank, I don't think. I don't know if it matters too much to them. They could probably threat saturate most of the time anyway. But them actually being a little bit like harder to score is probably a good thing in my opinion. But the fact that most of their meta has got worse around them is good. I think the thing that they're not going to enjoy is the arrival of Murderwing, because Murderwing, I think, can quite reliably kill these guys with the amount of access that they have to like 4/6 or 4/5 with a damage on entry. To do 10 wounds really, really reliably means that they can probably 2-hit most of the Felgor, and then they just need to be able to get a crit to be able to then kill them next. And if you have Lethal 5 or that sort of thing, or if you have Severe on one of your models, you're probably going to be in a good place to be able to kill them. So I don't know how I feel about it for Felgor, but I'll let people tell me about like what they think otherwise in the chat. But Simon, any thoughts on Felgor?
No, I think the flank change, hopefully reducing scoring at least a little bit, is nice, but I think whilst they still remain good against a lot of the teams and a good portion of the meta, you're not seeing them at the very top tables. I think they've had a real uphill battle versus teams like Canoptic and Wolf Scouts, so maybe the goats are coming back a little bit now.
There we go. Gellerbox Infected. I have like nothing to say about this team. I don't know. I never see them. I don't know anything about them. They don't get any changes. Like, are we okay to let them just disappear into the background? You don't even buy the box anymore.
No, I was surprised. I thought there was an update. I refreshed it on my app earlier, and I couldn't see any changes, so I was just really confused. But, yeah.
No one cares. Goremongers. An interesting one that they didn't get any changes, because I don't know where I sit with Goremongers, man. Like I feel like they need a redesign, but so we haven't got to Kazakin yet, but there is now more teams that are getting more ways to be able to deal with Goremongers, and I think Goremongers aren't getting any better at dealing with their problematic teams. I mean, sure, Deathwatch is now probably less likely to have the damage reduction, so you're able to kill stuff a bit easier. But I don't think that's going to help you in most of the cases where it matters. And I'm pretty sure now with the damage reduction, the a lot of the way that the murder wing can come in and do damage to you, they can just kill you through your damage reduction in melee as well, which I don't think is great for Goremongers as a whole. So hey, I don't know. I don't know if it's a good meta or a bad meta for Goremongers, but they're a team I find almost impossible to make a read on, if I'm honest. But no changes for them in this data slate.
I don't think they ever feel as though they'll be a truly balanced team, because either you can deal with Goremongers, in which case it's like, fine, I have the ways that I can shoot twice or beat them in melee to kill them, or you're one of the teams that actually can't touch them with their refusing to die to shooting. So that I think they will always be a divisive team. You will either look at them across the table and think, Goremongers, great, I've got this, or you'll look across the table and think, I don't stand a chance at killing all these guys.
I don't got this. Maybe good for teams, right? Teams format. Maybe it's a higher risk one. But I think there's more teams now that are in the I've got this camp than there is in the I don't got this. So maybe that's just me. Next up is Hand of the Archon, and they got some great changes in my opinion, which is pretty scary for a lot of people. So I the funny story that I always sort of tell about my game against Hand of the Archon is when I was playing Deathwatch and my opponent decided to do the leader's ability to pass on their first strap phase in Turning Point 2, but hadn't handed out any pain tokens, and I just went, I'll also pass, and you'll get no pain tokens, and you'll get none of your abilities, you'll get no crits or anything like that, and I'm okay with that because you're hidden behind doors and there's nothing you can do about it, right? So that's now gone, right? So you can't do that anymore because of two reasons. One is the Elixicant, it now works in the ready step of each strategy phase, so you always get your combat drugs, not in the the strategic gambit step, so you can't just pass and stop them from getting their drugs. And then you have the torturous vision rule, which is essentially the leader gets to gain pain tokens when they don't have pain tokens, which means that either if they have one, they can use it in their activation, or they can generate them to be able to come through APL and do what they need to do. So I think those are two really, really good changes to just help the team play, I think, a lot better, makes them way more flexible, and is just good for them. Flat out just good for them. And then they've also got the sort of game-wide nerf to Chain Snare, which I personally don't think it was as problematic on this team because they're only 8 wounds, so they die pretty easily, and they don't fight first like Exaction do. They're not 14 wounds like Nemclaw, so you probably could punch them out a lot of the time, but now you can run away from them as well. So hey, I think Hand of the Archon are in a good place. I think they enjoy this meta. I think sadly Wolf Scouts are still the big baddie for them probably, but at least you can charge them in melee and they're not going to reduce your attacks when you fight them. But they might kill you on the Savage Fighters roll if you don't do enough damage. So there's that, I guess. Any thoughts on Hand of the Archon?
No thoughts really. It's just nice changes. I think the Elixicant change is just such a good one. Just remove the danger of you deciding to skip and then getting nothing at all. You get something mean. At least now.
Yeah, it was mean. It's funny, but mean. Okay, so I know Bart was in the chat earlier. He had to go. He was going for a run, but I mean, I didn't think this team needed too much of a buff, but they got some buffs. They got some buffs. So the first one is need keeps, the strat ploy. So basically, if they already have 4 attacks, they now get balance on the weapons, which means that their melee becomes a bit more reliable on those getters, which is nice. So it's just a good little just small buff. And then the one thing that I didn't expect is the Harlequin flip belts to be given to the Hearthkin salvagers, so they can just climb as much as they want for 2, and they can ignore drops. Now you can't do it in the same activation. You should choose one or the other, right? That's fine. But lordy lord, that is big. Like this slow team is now going to be fast. I can't help but feel like maybe they've been given this just to be able to deal with murdering. So you want to hide an advantage? Cool. My little short leg is going to get there anyway. So yeah, I mean, it's a solid set of buffs to their movement, and and the change to the tactician thing means that they got balance rather than just. I forget if it was accurate one or a reroll before. I feel like it was just a reroll before. Bart will probably tell me. But like it was either accurate one or a reroll, but now they've just got balanced, which fine. Like it's much. Main changes, they're now fast on Volcus. So yeah, scary for me.
They can climb to the top of second story Volcus quicker than it takes them to walk like along a straight piece of ground.
Yeah.
It's scaling buildings.
Absolutely wild. Bart said it was a reroll before, so it now can't double stack. If you have two sets of balanced, you can't get it twice. But hey, I think they're going to be in a good meta. So there's a few things that I think is really important when it comes to like this meta for them. The fact that Deathwatch has now the sort of they're not ignoring crits when it comes to damage reduction just means the likelihood of just being absolutely just nuked by one of these guys is through the roof. And the fact that they are now faster versus those teams that want to hide advantages is really good. I think they're in a great place. So yeah. Serkan, thank you very much for the super chat. I really do appreciate that, and I will try and keep the content coming as much as possible. I'm aware I'm going away for a few weeks, so I will see what I can do. But I do really much appreciate that. But yeah, so Hulk salvages are going to be terrifying. If you're in the London meta, get ready for Bart, because good lord, this is buffs that man did not need. So we'll see how it goes. So Kate Chameleon says, like, I think they meant to buff Harnkin, but they buffed Hearthkin instead, and I can't help but agree with that in a little bit. So Harnkin, no changes. The one thing that I have like been chatting about with Jason, who is like diehard, wants the Jaegers to be meta relevant, is if their shotguns had like the exaction style thing of if you have a 3-up save you can get P1, then I think that might be all this team needs to be able to kill elites. But at the moment you can like double activate guys and like try and chip them down to kill them, but maybe that makes them too strong. I mean, I have played against like some Spanish dudes who are very, very good with Harnkin Jaegers, so maybe that would be too much. But yeah, I don't know. No changes for them, but as I said, if the rest of the meta gets worse around you, it's probably a good thing. Just be careful of murdering, yeeting themselves into your space going forwards. Hierotech Circle. The main bit from this is you can't teleport people on pads, and the way that I think people assumed that Hierotech Circle should have been nerfed is the way they've now made it so that they are nerfed. So you're kill grade 5, but when you reanimate, it goes back down again. So good changes there. They're now playable again. You can't just get free like kill up points and just instantly max your kill grade. So you actually have to now work through killing at least 5 of them. I think again they like killing elites. The fact that this is now in their favour is probably all a good thing for them. So maybe it's one for those Canoptech players to look at if they think they're struggling now with Canoptech. Hey, well, Hierotech's I think a completely valid option that people could work towards. Any thoughts on Hierotech?
No, I think it's just nice to get the clarification on what we thought the previous change was, but didn't quite line up with the wording. So instead, for a while, they were just kind of crippled by the kill grade. So it's nice that it's had that clarity now.
Completely agree.
But yeah, I think they probably are a team that people are still sleeping on. I don't think they got worse than from where they were, but they're still a strong team.
Yeah, I think it's like the classic thing that every time Hierotech gets nerfed, everyone's like, "Oh my god, the team D tier," and I'm like, I think they've still got play. So maybe we'll see. Hunterclade, no changes. I got really no opinions on this. Declassified, fine, but I think they're in a solid place before. They didn't need any changes. They got some crazy damage reduction if they want it. They got some good melee if they want it. They're just hard to play. So yeah, this is a change that I didn't necessarily see coming, and I think it's actually pretty cool. So 2 changes to Imperial Navy breaches, and the first one is going to be the change to their close assault ploy, where you now add 1 to your damage profiles of the Imperial Navy breacher shotguns, the Navis shotguns, and the heavy shotgun, which is the one on the shield dude. And you get the benefit of, if you roll 2 or more fails, you can discard 1 to retain a normal hit instead. So, this is pretty strong. Like, being able to bump up the damage to 4/4 versus 3/3 changes so many break points. Weirdly, I don't know how much it helps versus what I think their main problem is, which is going to be elites. But it's more damage, I guess, which is always good. But just one to be aware of that, they still need to get through the power armor, and it's still tough in that respect. But the other change is I'm pretty sure I'm reading this right, but it's the way I read it is, overwhelm target previously is when you basically activated your 2 dudes doing a breach and clear, you could give one of them an extra APL. Now the way I read this is that both of them get an APL. So previously it was choose one of them, they get an APL buff, but now you get 2 guys with 3 APL. Either that, or it doesn't have to be the first one. But
I thought the change is that you can pick which of them it is now, so you can you don't have to sync it in you don't have to give out the APL when you do the breach and clear. I don't think it, because it's when you activate either friendly operative while using the breach and clear faction rule, until that operative's activation, add 1 to its APL stat. I'm pretty sure it's both, because previously the bit that they've got rid of was select one of those friendly Imperial Navy breach operatives. So it was choose one of them, and that then gets the +1 APL. But now I'm pretty sure that both get APL. I'm confused, but what I'll do is just to make sure, I'm going to go on the thing, because I think that is how it works. I think it's really cool. So it says, use this fire effect when you activate either friendly Imperial operative or use Imperial until. Oh, maybe you're right. Oh, I don't know. I think it feels like a change in line with the other changes, that you don't have to forward load your APL buffs.
Because it used to be that you had to choose the first one, right?
You had to pick which one would have it. So now it can go to either of them when you activate them. And so if your first operative might need 3 APL, say you're planning to do a charge, fight, shoot, but they whiff on the fight, instead of having a wasted APL, they can then give it to the other operative to use potentially.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it would have been cool if it was 2 getting an APL buff. Never mind. We were close. Does this change it significantly? I don't think it changes too much. I think the 4/4 damage is going to help them kill sort of your Horde teams with their shotguns, which is quite nice. But I don't think it's going to change too much. They're still going to be the durable Horde that they were previously. I was getting excited by the potential to be move dash and shoot loads of stuff. But yeah, I think you're right. It's the either means you only choose one. But hey, whatever. We were close. It could have been cool. It could have been cool, but maybe not. I think these guys. Just as I suggested for the Harkin Jaegers, give them the exaction P1 against 3-up saves. That's a good way of balancing it out. Then they can't just absolutely slap on 4 save or 5 save people. No change for Inquisitorial agents, except the fact that you've got the 6 attack grenade launcher from Exaction now.
That's the secret. As an Inquisition player, they make you work a little bit harder to see your nerfs and buffs, because they put them all in the Exaction, the Kazakin, the Breacher, and the Vet Guard.
It's all hidden away.
It is, yeah.
So yeah, Overall, they're probably happy to see Wolf Scouts getting nerfed, Canoptech getting nerfed, like all the big baddies at the top getting nerfed. Mandrake's getting nerfed. It's probably good for this team as well. But I don't know. Is this a good meta or a bad meta for them? I honestly couldn't tell you. I think it's always kind of a good meta for Inquisitorial Agents. I think they're kind of like one of those evergreen teams. But maybe that's just me.
I think if you put the time in, then I think they can be good. But the knowledge required is a lot. to especially if you're taking Inquisition to a tournament and you prepare for the meta teams, and then you play against a team that you didn't have any expectations of playing. You're like, okay, I have no idea what I need to be stopping here or what's going on.
Yeah, and it's you've got that Firefly point. This means that you win. Great. I've already used my absolute authority. Oh no. Yeah, you're right. Like the mental drain of Inquisitorial Agents is absolutely crazy, isn't it? It's a team you've really got to commit to. Let's talk Kazakin though, because this is exciting. I think this is it's maybe some of the biggest buffs that a team has got. It's not ever, but it's pretty big.
Yeah.
So, do you wanna read through these?
Yeah, I'll read through Kazakin. I was excited by this. So they've had the faction rule rapid fire added. So now if they don't perform an action in which it moves during its activation, it can perform 2 shoot actions excluding guard during that activation, but a bolt pistol, hotshot lasgun, or hotshot las pistol must be selected for both of those actions. So you're looking at anyone other than your specialists with the gunners and your sniper. Everyone else can now double tap if they don't move, which is really nice against teams like Goremongers.
Yeah, I mean, and it's the fact that they have access to Severe so easily, and they have access to piercing crits, means that those like bolt guns that they have like actually start to slap when you're shooting twice, hitting on 3s, and like putting some serious damage out. So I think that like I think that this is pretty big. Like I think this is huge for the damage output of the team, and now the fact that you can have 2 different skill arms, so you can always be severe and be faster, or have the damage reduction, is pretty big. I still think there's some problematic teams for them that they're going to struggle to deal with. I don't think that they're going to enjoy Murderwing, because Murderwing has, I believe, 4 operatives that can one hit in melee, which is gross. So yeah, there's that. But there's now some nice synergy between their like ploys, their equipment, and their ability to shoot a lot. I guess the question is like how many Goremonger players, how many Felgor players are going to give you multiple shots each turn is probably a question to be able to get the most out of rapid fire. But at the casual tables, I can definitely see this being pretty impactful. So I think they're close. I think one of the things that I would like to see is the Ice in Your Veins only works versus normal damage for the damage reduction. If that was just like -1, then I think you would see like this team perform a lot better, because let's say you're being shot or hit with 4-5 whatever, then the fact that you get hit for the 5 damage on the crit and the 4 just means becomes 3, you still die. So I think them having like the ability not to get one shot by a lot of these teams might be quite good. So yeah, my concern would be that you get jumped on by flying Space Marines that just punch you out with 1 damage on the charge and then a power fist that does 7 damage that you can't reduce. Then they plasma pistol you as well, just for good measure. So yeah,
I don't think that's a problem unique to Kazakin. I'm going to go out and say that maybe Murderwing might be doing that to anyone really.
Any 8-wound team, I think, is going to struggle versus Murderwing. But yeah, like I think these are some really good changes for the team. I think it's definitely going to help them out. They were like previously struggling. Now we've seen them start rising up to like sort of 50% win rates. The total amount of buffs this team have got since edition started is huge. So now this combined with Siege Initiative, I think there's some pretty cool stuff that you can do with this team to be able to put out some real pressure against elites. So I think elite teams should be like kind of worried most of the time about playing against this kind of team, because they're fast, they can hit hard when shooting, and now if you stand in the open, even a regular trooper with a double tap is actually probably going to be able to do quite a bit of damage. So yeah, pretty cool. Good changes. And noting, nothing for Inquisition, so Inquisition can get done.
I'm really sad about it. They changed every single one of the auxiliaries, and nothing really affects Inquisition other than that grenade launcher.
I think that's probably for a reason. Like one thing Inquisition does not need right now is the ability to have like double shooting Kazakin all over the place as well. That'd be too much. But yeah, as I said, I like their sort of synergy with the sort of the long range scope to be able to gain saturate, which then means you can now proc your elimination pattern easier. You can proc your neutralized target easier. All that sort of stuff. I like all those changes. I think it's really good. It just makes them a lot easier to play, which is nice. So that is Kazakin. Commandos, no changes. I think they remain in a goodish place. The changes that the Nob received previously is pretty good, and I think they're probably just going to be remaining there as one of those teams that have now rolled out. Any thoughts on Commandos?
No, I think they're in a fine place within the team.
Legionaries, I've got nothing to say really about this team. Same.
All the good Chaos Space Marines got given jump packs. So
yeah, their buff was that you can now stick jump packs to them and play them in a different team. That's the main change. All right, Mandrakes. You played Mandrakes before. You even won best opponent with Mandrakes. I don't know how you did that.
I don't know. I was as surprised as everyone else.
I hate this team, so you can read their rules.
Nowhere to Hide has been changed. So this is the deploy where they can move through terrain as a movement or charging. It cannot move more than its move stat if it's the charge, and it must end those moves in a location it can be placed. So it no longer gives you the extra 2 inches on the charge, which brings it in line with some of the other teams getting to, like Vespids, they get their charge capped with sort of additional movement.
But I guess the caveat there is you can still do the dash followed by the charge. So you can do the creeping horror dash, right? And then use the nowhere to hide charge. So this is still a 10-inch ignoring terrain charge, but it's not a 12-inch ignoring terrain charge.
No, it's not. Yeah, and you just got to line that dash up beforehand.
Yeah.
And
good change. I'm happy to see it.
And this is probably one that people enjoy, is that the Harrowing Whispers on the Night Fiend, which is the leader, you can roll 1d6. You cannot do so if you've already interrupted that operative's activation with this rule, or the Dirge Maws operative with Haunting Focus. So a lot of the time there's a lot of dice rolling that goes on when your Night Fiend is in range of multiple operatives, and if there's one operative in particular you want to activate and it gets rolled higher than its APL on each occasion, it just sits there. Whereas now, if it gets stopped on that first occasion, great, you now know that operative will get to go.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the... Yeah, you can't just be like, I'm going to forever stop you from being able to activate people.
You can't lock a whole team in place forever now.
Yeah.
Which is quite funny, but probably for the best that it doesn't happen. So there's a change with the Dirge Maw with the Parabolic Projection, that you're no longer removing APL stat changes. This is the action that the Dirge Maw can take, where it makes someone count as though they're being injured, but now it no longer removes the APL buff, which is nice, because previously what you would do is, if you're going to APL buff one of your operatives, the Dirge Maw then just immediately says, no, get rid of that. So this means that buffing your APL against Mandrakes, which is a positive, into their Soul Blast, their weapons, their ranged weapons, based off your APL, means that you actually get to maintain an APL buff if you're giving it out. And then the final change is chain snares again. Which,
which is a common change.
Yeah.
Sirkin says that I think Games Workshop is very brutal when nerfing elf teams. So like again, like overall, it's quite a lot of hits to mandrakes, but you can still be like pretty strong with them. It just means that you can't like leave your leader in one place and then just stop the entire game from happening just by rolling like lucky. So you get that first I stop you activating that guy now kind of thing, but then on the next activation that person is going to be able to come and kill you, which is good. And it also means that there's less like trying to bait out the rule or whatever. Like it's just go for it, like it's going to happen, and then they'll actually have to come and interact with you now. And the change to chain snares, again, I think it's more impactful here because them having the ability to fight first is really gross when you have that. Oh no, you have to charge, don't you? You have to charge to be able to
be charged. So I think it sort of falls into a similar category as the Hand of the Archon, where it's not quite as
it's not as impactful as the manacles for exaction, or the Nemesis Claw. No, I agree with that one. That makes sense. I think to me when reading this, the main changes is the reduction to nowhere to hide, and the not being able to just strip APL modifiers off people. I still think this team's going to be pretty decent. Like I think they're going to enjoy the meta. Like they were doing really well, and I don't think these changes are enough to mean that they're now not going to do well. So if you were enjoying mandrakes previously, I think you can still perform well with mandrakes. But we'll see. Hey, we'll see. Murdering. Pre-release nerf. Good. So I am happy to see this. It's good to see that it got removed before they got to play, because we had this in our game, and the only reason I didn't get to do Murderous Descent was because you noped it. And like that, and if I had, it probably would have been the most disgusting thing. So I think now Murderous Descent is as it is on the tin, like just like Rise Out of Sight has been made to do what it actually is supposed to do. Now they're doing that, where you actually have to be an advantage and jump on someone, or someone has to come into your room in ITD and then you jump on them. And what I imagine is, and what people need to imagine is happening, is that there's someone hiding above the hatchway, and it's a Night Lord like waiting above the hatch, and when you jump in, they then jump on you. That's how they do it.
It's the slow door close after you've stepped through the hatch. Just imagine you just slowly close the door behind you.
You look up and they're in the corner up there, like yeah.
I'm so glad. They could have left it as it was and fixed it instead by renaming the Firefight ploy, because I was fully prepared to see a lot of players get caught out by using a ploy called Murderous Descent, and then the Murderwing just walks across the road right towards you. I was like, what?
It's like, oh hey, I'm just gonna just hug you now. Yeah. So good to see this. However, in the wider meta, I think Murderwing received a buff overall, because of the nerfs to Wolf Scouts, which we'll come on to shortly, and to Canoptech. So, like, I think this is one of the strongest teams in the game. I think they're definitely going to be like your S tier team. Personally, maybe it's just me. I think if you're an 8 wound team, this team's going to feel oppressive with the amount of damage that they can put out to you, and it feels like it's one way. They're going to go in, they're going to hit you hard, and that's going to be that done. And so the fact that Wolf Scouts now don't have the attacks reduction means that they're more likely to be able to get the kills, and they're more likely to be able to do the things they need to against Wolf Scouts. Canoptech getting nerfed is a win for them. Mandrake's getting a little bit hurt, but not too much. I mean, they're probably still be a difficult industry matchup, but I think you can probably kill most Mandrakes relatively easy with your stuff. So yeah, I think weirdly this data slate is kind of like a buff for the incoming Murderwing. Nick Stello, no, we haven't done Plague Marines yet. They are yet to come up. We're just running through it alphabetically. So you'll see them shortly. I saw Tom Shaw in the chat earlier. He's going to be interested to hear what we think about Nemesis Claw. Is this the third or is this the fourth back-to-back nerf? Third consecutive nerf for Nemclaw.
I think so.
They just keep going. They just you know, that sort of like it ain't over yet, kind of like staggering forwards. So yeah, it's a change there nerf for them, and I do think this impacts them a lot because like Tom Shaw does this game plan really well. I think he's mastered the huggy Nemesis Claw, right, where you can essentially grab onto people, lock them down, and just make it so that they can't escape. That now you get to do it once, and that's it. So yeah, Tom Shaw said, wouldn't be a Dataslate without a random kick in to Nemclaw's shins. So yeah, I weirdly I think they're not going to be in a terrible place. Although I cannot foresee a world in which like a Nemclaw player right now isn't staring across the aisle at the Murderwing with all of their juicy jump packs and just thinking, why shouldn't I like why shouldn't I play them instead, right? I mean, what's your thoughts on Nemclaw? You get to play against Rob a lot, right?
Yeah, I think it's a hit to a particular playstyle. But this is, like you said, this is another hit in a long line of nerfs that Nemesis Claw have just had chipping away at them. And I think that their success was coming from a few players that were playing them particularly well. And it did feel like some of them were unnecessary. And with the release of Murderwing, I think if you are a Nemesis Claw player and you're going to go to a tournament, I don't know why, if you have the models available to you and you want to win, I don't know why you wouldn't just take Murderwing.
Yeah, I think like you have to think so much more as a Nemesis Claw player and set up so much more than I think you do as the Murderwing player. I think Murderwing is significantly easier to play than Nemclaw at this point, and I think in a straight fight like operative, I think Murderwing might have it with the amount of damage that they can do to be able to kill people. So yeah, I mean it's an interesting one. I don't think Nemclaw are out of the fight though. I think the fact that a lot of their big baddies also got hit down is good. Like the Wolf Scout matchups got better for them because when they go into melee now, they're more likely to kill them. The Canoptech matchups got better for them. Because now they take less damage killing warriors. Although that being said, they can't hide as easily with the chain snares, so there's that. But even when you're trying to kill the big guys, they're now accurate 1, not accurate 2. So there's a chance that they just don't get the hits on their 4s. And then if they don't get the hits, they're not able to parry out, and you just absolutely tear them to shreds, and they can't revive and that sort of stuff. So like a lot of the meta around them has got weaker. And so therefore, like maybe it's good, but I just think Murderwing is a better option in most matchups. But hey, that's my Nemclaw thoughts. I'm sure people in the comments can add their own and let us know if we're right or wrong. But yeah, I think Murderwing are gonna be a brighter shining star for a while.
Stick some giant bat wings on your Nemesis Claw, and I think you're good to go. Yeah,
this is it. This is the way. Okay, cool. Let's roll on to Novitiates, who got no changes. I mean, the changes that you now get to put full power armor on, leave one of the models at home, and play Celestial Insidiance like a good meta chaser that you should be. Well, they're out of rotation anyway, so but I don't think they need any changes.
Biggest change is the change to flank for them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm trying to work out what they were playing before. I think Bart would use retrieval and flank, would he? Well, it was probably last edition.
They benefit from being on mission markers, so that was...
Yeah, we'll see. But Novitiates, no changes there. Pathfinders get some love though. So I'll quickly run through all these. So first one is the Art of War rule. So it's now gone to a strategic gambit rather than once per battle. You can select one of the following to apply its rules until the end of the turning point. You cannot select each option more than once per battle. So it means that now you get to have both your Monka on one turn and you get to have your Koyon on another turn. Hey, that's a nice little buff for your sort of your output. I forgot to put on what the multi-dimensional vision additional rule is, but I'm pretty sure it's just you ignore obscurity.
Ignore obscurity.
So I just didn't put it on there. The photon grenade, you can now select someone visible as opposed to valid target, I believe, or is it within 6? I can't remember what it was before, but you can subtract 2 from
it was valid target previously.
Yeah. So it just means it's easier for you to be able to apply some movement debuffs, which is going to help against a lot of the melee teams that are out there. And then finally, high intensity marker light, you can now use twice per turning point to be able to get more marker lights out. All of these are fine, but I don't think it's going to change anything too much. So yeah, I think Pathfinders are as they are. Sorcerezo said there's probably a game dev whose girlfriend cheated on them with a Nemesis Law player. We are sorry, dude. Like, just leave them alone, man. Like, they don't need any more. Yeah, they really don't like the manacles in bed. Phobos Strike Team, no changes. That's because, as everyone knows, if you're playing Phobos Strike Team, you've forgot to stick fur to your model and make them Wolf Scouts now, and that's your own fault for not updating them to be Wolf Scouts instead. That's the change that you needed.
You've got the choice that you could give them wings if you want.
You can also give them wings.
They've got the two. They can evolve into the like bat people or furries now.
So what we're saying is you need to stick some little wings to your marine models, and then just roll them in fur. And then they can be used as either Wolf Scouts or Murder Wing, whatever you need to do. Mikkel says Change Nairs, etc. is sort of bad design in the same way that Sisters and their no to Psychic is. Some teams just didn't really have a way of dealing with it. You know what? I agree with that. Like I think it was also like it felt so consistent, like a 4-up. But it can be like, hey, if you get a 4-up, then I lose the game. It's like, oh, okay, that happens a few times in a row. It's done. But yeah. So Plague Marines, I know. Was it Nick in the chat that was asking about Plague Marines? So I genuinely don't know if this is like a buff, a nerf, a side grade. I can't really figure it out. I think it might be a buff, but just not immediately obvious, if that makes sense. So I think the reaction from the community is going to be, I don't like this change, but I think actually it's a good change, right? So the first buff is the Virulent Poison buff, which it used to be if you roll 2d6 and get a 7, you can choose someone within 7. Now you can just choose someone within 7, which is nice, right? So you can hand out a poison with a Fireflight Void, someone in 7, and not have to roll some dice to see if it's gonna work. Nice. That's a good change. More consistent handing out of poison is good. The poison vents now isn't a damage. It's now if you roll a d3 on a 3 that Optus gains one of your poison tokens, and I feel like one of the things that like Plague Marines needed was the ability to get poison out there, because it triggers all of their abilities right on the team. So now I think that they have that. It's I think maybe a buff, but I don't know. I'm 50-50 on that. It maybe increase your durability. If you were killing people with your poison vents, it's going to feel like a nerf. And I have lost a lot of Marines to poison vents, so maybe in that instance it's a straight nerf. But maybe for the gameplay and game plan of Plague Marines, it's a buff. Do you have any thoughts on that one, Simon?
I think it changes what your random roll is going for with the poison vents, because previously it was the D3 damage as opposed to the flat 1, and now it can potentially poison them, which I think is probably more useful. I think just getting more poison on the board.
I guess like it's 50-50 because like, if you're going to kill someone, then obviously it's a nerf. But if you weren't going to kill them and you're trying to kill someone that's or someone's fighting you that's straight up there, if you get them poisoned now and now your contagion procs and now they're -1 to hit, it might mean you survive.
That's the thing is, you could finish within 3 inches of someone. You could do a charge fight, shoot someone, and finish close to an enemy operative with that wasn't poisoned, whereas previously you wouldn't do anything to them, but now there's a chance that they'll get poisoned and then their counter-attack into you sort of with their that model is going to be worse because it's been poisoned, it's affected by contagion.
Yeah. And so you can potentially yeet yourself into a group of models and be like, I'm going to try and get some of you. I think maybe, again, this is like the longer look for Plague Marine players. If the team starts struggling and you're not getting above that 45% win rate, they can easily make it so that it happens on a 2 or a 3, right? So then it increases the odds of it happening. And it just means that you're more consistently getting out your poison, which means you get your contagion, which is then a buff to your durability, which is what people want, right? So I'm unsure where they sit in this meta because I
don't think your damage reduction saves you from murder wing. I think you're no faster than these other Marine teams. You've got the Wolf Scouts and you've got Murder Wing going around. You've still got Canoptic. Like they've taken their hit, but they're still. I don't think these changes are going to be really pushing Plague Marines much higher than where they were
previously. Yeah, and I mean they are durable, right? Like so. I mean, a Murder Wing player I think is actually going to struggle to be able to kill you in a single like fight. I guess the Chaos Lord probably could, but like, yeah, now it's kind of a bit of a slog. So I don't know. It's that. Do you have answers to some of the main problem children at the moment, and that's going to be Wolf Scouts. That's going to be Nemclaw, not necessarily Nemclaw. Sorry, Murder Wing, and I think. I'm unsure where they sit against those, and I guess the main struggle that I have with Plague Marines is whenever you have a movement 5 team versus like movement 6 or movement 7 teams, that like difference in threat range feels like mental in comparison, right? So like the fact that they can charge you from so much further away, it just doesn't. The asymmetric threat just does not feel good, and they're going to be able to jump out and plasma pistol you. And Murder Wing are going to be activating like last, and they're going to be doing the same thing, and they're going to chip you, and they're going to kill you. So yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. They also don't like the fact that the sisters are going to come in and just say absolutely no to their Plaguecaster, which is like I'm don't get me wrong. I don't like the Plaguecaster, but it feels harsh to just say like you can't interact with me. So you have to take the heavy gunner or whatever instead, which. Maybe that's like an avenue for this team to get buffs in future because I don't think they're doing too well at the moment. And part of that is I think the tac ops don't massively favour them. I mean, they can do plant banner, I guess, but yeah, I think poison vents side grade, the virulent poison, straight buff. That's a nice change. So that's going to help them out. Rattlings, you've played some Rattlings, right?
I love my Rattlings. So the changes they've had to the Fixer is that his target designation rule no longer requires visibility. That's the rule where your rifles get lethal 5 against that target.
Big change. Because the guy is like so tiny that he could never see anything anyway. So this is a nice change.
Having an operative whose sole goal was to deploy him so that he could see anyone to maybe give out the lethal 5, where this is a big change, and then changes to 2 of their equipments. So it's the same change to both of them, the Purloined Rations and the Lucky Round. You can now use them together.
So you can be like, actually, I'm going to hit on 2s, and I'm going to get severe, and therefore I'm going to slap.
Both of them allow you to add that rule after you've seen your roll. So
which is really nice.
If you are shooting with one of your operatives that hits on 3s and you roll 4 2s, you can say, actually, these are all hits now. And also...
And a crit.
Yeah.
The other thing, the other buff I've just realised for the Fixer is now he can also get lethal 5 against stealth suits. So yeah, the invisible stealth suits can still be seen by the fixer. I think he smells you out. Yeah, these are good changes, right? Like I don't know if they needed this, or if like I almost feel like maybe they just need the Bulgrins and the Ogrins to be a bit more durable in a weird way, because they're the things that are going to lock down objectives for you. But maybe they already are. But like I don't know. I'm just I mean, their snipers are better at killing stuff. Okay, this is cool.
It's easier to give out the buff, which is a massive change. I'm very happy for it.
It's a nice reliability change, isn't it? I guess that's the main thing. Where do they sit in the meta? They probably don't like the fact that you're going to have Murderwing jumping over all their traps and obstacles, because that used to be like how they would slow you down. Is like, I'm going to put a wall of Bulgrin in front of me, and all my soft squishy guys are going to hide behind that wall, and now you're going to just go straight over it. I guess you do have the what's the name of the dog? I forget the actual name. The battle mutt. That's it. You get the fallback, so maybe you can run away. But then, don't they have the warp fuel to chase you down, or is that during their activation? Oh, I don't know. This is like the niche of rules within rules now.
Murderwing will probably be fine into Ratlings.
Yeah. But at least, you know, if you're shooting them now, they are more reliable, which is
yes,
which is some good changes.
I think you now probably always take Lucky Round and Purloined Rations. I think you probably just take both of those.
So the cool thing is the warp fuel is only during your enemy's activation. So if a battle mutt runs away from you, it doesn't work. So yeah, there's your counterplay. You can keep the battle mutt. Yeah, that's it. That's Ratlings. Raveners, no changes. Although I would suggest that, like, for me, it feels like Deathwatch getting their sort of damage reduction in a much harder way is good for them. So that elite matchup's better. The change to Wolf Scouts with their damage, like reduction of attacks, is much better. The change to Canoptech is better. And we've just seen these guys do really well out in the States, performing really well. So I think all those changes is like a buff data slate for Ravenous. I think, like, seeing all those other teams get worse, I don't think there's too many teams at the bottom of the meta that have been buffed to the point where they're problematic for this team. But the teams at the top of the meta are now getting hurt. So I think this is probably a good data slate for Ravenous. Any thoughts for you on them?
I think I'd agree. I think some of the teams that they didn't enjoy the matchups into quite so much, getting their nerfs just helps push the Ravenous up a bit more.
For sure. Sanctifiers, no changes. It's probably muchness. I would be terrified though if I was Sanctifiers player looking at Murderwing, because I think they can probably just double kill you really effectively. Wolf Scouts remain the same problem, I think, even with that sort of damage reduction. With them having access to sort of lethal 5 and Savage Fighters, if you fight them, I don't know, like, I'm not sure if it's a good meta or not for Sanctifiers. I think one of the things they actually struggle with potentially against those teams is like tac op selection. I'm not sure what you take from if you're a Horde security team, and they're security and Seek and Destroy, right? So you're probably not going to be able to score anything on Seek and Destroy. So do you take like Martyrs and just be like, I'm going to die and maybe try and control objectives? I don't like that as a game plan. So Plant Banner, maybe? I don't know. Like, I'm unsure how they score those things with a team that can go last now. So it's like, you've got an envoy, cool. I've got a guy that's going to wait and is going to melt a gun your envoy in the face. That's going to be pretty emotional if you're a Sanctifiers player, I think. Anyway, any thoughts on Sanctifiers? You played a bit of Sanctifiers. Any?
I think they've still got some play in them. They just take a little bit more working around of their auras and such. It's less forgiving than it used to be, and so I think there are better options available to do what Sanctifiers were doing.
Yeah,
probably in the form of the New Sisters. I'd say New Sisters are probably just going to do what Sanctifiers were doing, but slightly better now.
This is it. Okay, this is one of the ones that I am actually really excited about. Is the Scout Squad changes. and there is some big buffs in here. I think they're one like change away from potentially becoming top of the meta. I think they're like that close. So they got the change to tactical maneuver, which is the ability to add APL to a model. You can now do that twice per battle as a strategic gambit, not just once, which is nice. Adaptable training, which is the change your order, I believe, is now 4 inches rather than 6 inches. Stealth relocation, which is the dash in the strat phase, is now 4 inches rather than 6 inches, so more flexibility there. Raw physiology gets a big glow up, where you add 1 to its move stat, and you get to ignore any changes to injury and that sort of stuff. So, like, now you're being able to go up to 7 inches. That's big, because like if that means that you can get out a double tap on a shotgun, big change. So I like that. And then a change to Astartes training, which is it's a far fight point, and you can do one of the following. So you either do 2 fights, 2 shoots, but if you select a heavy bolter, missile launcher, or sniper rifle, you have to spend 1 additional AP for the second action. You're going to be telegraphing this so hard though to use one of those cool things, right? Like you have to say, oh yeah, cool. The sniper that's just on the vantage is now suddenly 3 APL. Don't worry about it. Like he's definitely not going to shoot twice, you know. So the way I can see this is in combination with tactical maneuver, where if someone has left a model exposed, you're then going to be able to say, cool, APL buff in the strat phase, my first activation, this guy goes and he shoots twice. And then knowing your luck, you'll do enough damage in the first shoot that you just one-shot them and you wasted your APL buff anyway. So like that's the way it's going to be, right? But hey, the option's there. But maybe it means that you can do that sort of strat phase movement to get a shot with a missile launcher or something, and you can fire a double blast into the group. So there's some cool stuff you can do there. Which is pretty useful. And the tracker operative, they've just removed it so it's not an expended operative, so it can be done to a ready operative, which again is nice, right? So I think all of these are like good changes, and they're going to massively help the way the team plays. And also like Deathwatch damage reduction getting nerfed, great. Like they now have to be wholly within your territory to be getting that damage reduction, which is good. It's not going to work against crits, so your equipment to give yourself lethal 5 on your shotguns is now like applicable and has a purpose, as opposed to just making it better for them. So yeah, I mean, I think these are all good things. Any thoughts that you have on scouts?
I'm just excited to see. I think with these buffs, they're slowly getting closer and closer to, I think, just breaking through to the double shoot on the missile launcher and the sniper rifle is lovely into enemy elites if you can set that up. I think it just helps give them that additional bit of punch for it, and just all round like the buffs improving. So I think I'll be interested to see where they are, and maybe whether they'll get anything more in future.
Yeah, my only worry bead with Scout, right, a Scout squad is if there was a team entering the meta right now that was like had a ridiculous amount of say 4/6 lethal 5 damage on the charge, 4/5 rending damage on the charge, like something like that in the meta, that would scare me, because they could potentially just go in and like rip these guys asunder, as I said the other day. I don't know why that came to me, but anyway, I just like it's like as soon as these guys I get to the point where I think hey, I think these guys might be good, something comes in, it's just like, yeah, we specialize in killing 10 wound dudes, and we're faster than you and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm worried about that, like, but I do like the way that they, I think their forward scouting rules and that stuff are really fun. They're really cool. They're getting there. Again, like let's all just push for the if you have a 3-up save, you can get piercing 1. I think that would help. And maybe there's a chance there to be able to do something really cool. But yeah, Hi, Glass Half Dead. Welcome to the random live stream. I decided we're going to record this, and I was like, you know what, we'll just do it live because you might get some interesting chat reactions. And it's been good so far. And I agree with Luke. They are a very fun team. And I think for me, if they got access to that piercing one to be able to take down elites, then that's potentially all they need. Because against like elves and stuff, the 4/4 hitting on twos like ceaseless shotgun is usually sufficient. Like if that doesn't kill people, then I don't know really what does. But cool. Tempest Aquilans, no changes. They are, I think, still better than Kazakin. Maybe, I don't know. Actually, that's a good question. I think they are, because I think they just go in and like drop from orbit and kill Kazakin models faster than they kill you, and they still have access to more piercing and more damage. So. Hey, I think Aquilans, their playstyle remains unchanged, and they probably do exactly what they've always done with nil real changes in this meta. Any thoughts from you on Aquilans?
No, I think the changes to the tac ops don't really affect them hugely. I think they're just scared of some Space Marines also in jump packs. Common theme, really.
I think my hot take is like people who played Aquilans with flank were playing it wrong. I think you should play Aquilans with retrieval, and you can jump on your opponent's home objective and take it from them, because you can do a free mission action, and if they put someone on it to protect it, then you hit them with a melter bomb in the face, and then you take it anyway. And your leader can get like 4 APL for objective control to be able to take stuff as well. So I think Aquilans are in a good place. Mikkel makes a really good point that they love the fact that the chain snare nerf has come in. Like, chain snare nerf is great, and I think they're going to be able to do well. So yeah, I think it's all fine. They probably don't love the fact that there's like loads of teams spamming 4/5 damage. You know, we're looking at you, Wolf Scouts. We're looking at you, Nemclaw, but sorry, Murderwing, Nemclaw with jump packs. Vespid. What's your thoughts on Vespid in the current meta? You've been playing quite a bit of Vespid.
I did play a lot of Vespids, and then I finally decided that rolling 4-ups couldn't do it anymore. I
just wasn't worth it.
Both myself and physically couldn't roll the 4-ups I needed. I think that they probably remain in the place that they are. They like the slightly better Canoptic matchup. I don't think it's amazing still, but they like that the warriors are a bit weaker and do less damage when they hit in melee. Some changes to Wolf Scouts. I think it's just they just like moving around, ideally Marines, and just shooting them. So I think it would be difficult into Murderwing, because Murderwing just have slightly better threat ranging, that they can charge the 9 as opposed to the 6 and 2 for the Vespids to shoot them.
That's my
got some maneuverability.
That's my read with Vespid. Is I'm like, if you can be hurt from 9 inches away, but you can only hurt people who are within 8 inches of you, you have to do a lot of like setting up, and you have to use your activation advantage to be like, okay, I'm going to get like up here to be able to then do something. And then if you don't get initiative, or it goes wrong, and then suddenly you can start losing models really quickly. You don't really have a way around obscurity, and like the fact that your key focus as a faction is I roll crits on 5s to do dev wounds, and then there's like I've got this thing that just says you can't do that anymore, is like, oh, okay, that's just awful for me. So yeah, if you can have obscurity, like you've got a good chance of being able to mess with this team. And like Wolf Scouts have that with their Rune Priest. They can hand it out when they need it to be. They've got smoke grenades or access to that as well. So being able to have like 3 models staged forwards who are obscured, so that even if you do a silly, you're not letting you able to kill them, and then they can charge you from such a long distance away to be able to then potentially aim for double kills with a plasma pistol. I think just feels rough. So that's kind of my view. Mikkel says it's a gambling team. I agree. Johnny's like, it's good for new players. Yeah, like they're a fun team. They're a cool team. If you roll loads of 5s, then they're absolutely incredible. But if you invest fully into this warrior is going to go and kill this guy, and then you just roll like rubbish, then that's it, right? Like the amount of games I played against Jason where he didn't roll a single 5 up on like 60 dice, and you're just like, I don't know what you do at that point. I don't know what you do.
I definitely had winnable games at Worlds. I was like, yeah, I'm set up. I can probably beat these Deathwatch here. And then I was like, oh, I just rolled nothing, I guess. And then
that'll be it.
I got rolled over. Yeah.
Next up, Void Dancer Troop. I don't have much to say about this team. They are fine. The meta around them is, I mean, they don't like Wolf Scouts, but Wolf Scouts are now easier for them to deal with. But the fact they've got less attacks, they've got more attacks now when they're fighting them. Sorry, better way of putting it. And like, yeah, for them, whatever. It's like their time has been and gone. Flank, I don't know if it matters for them. Like, probably not. So, yeah, and they're now better into Deathwatch, which I hate. So, anyway. It's still in the background. I'm still bitter in the background. We're getting towards the end, so let's quickly talk about Warp Coven. So the Prosperine Kopesh is now back up to 5 attacks after going down and up, down, up, down, up. So they are now like reverting on some of the nerfs that they handed out, and the Brotherhood of Sorcerers is now back to ceaseless if you have another sorcerer within 9. So they're now saying, yep, you can get some decent psychic shooting just in time for the team that says, I don't care about your psychic shooting to arrive into the meta, and run up and really kick Warp Coven in the nads. I think this team is like, if it's going to be a 5-operative kill team and it's going to go against like have any chance against those sisters, you need to make the rubrics better. And you need to make the Zangors probably better as well. I don't know how you do that, like, but like, or you just say, hey, they rotated out and no one cares, and maybe that's okay. They had a long time at the top of the meta, but if you're going to bring out a team that basically says you can't like do any psychic against me, having a team that's like whole faction identity is I'm really good at psychic stuff. And therefore, because I'm so good at that, I only have 5 operatives. Is pretty horrendous. This comes back down to that rock paper scissors conversation, and like, I don't know, man. Like, I wouldn't want to be playing Warp Coven. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can't play it in Classified, but I wouldn't be playing Warp Coven at the moment. They don't feel in a good place. But hey, maybe that's just me. I'm sure they can get some more love in the next Dataslate. Cool. Let's talk Wolf Scouts, and do we think this is going to be enough? I mean, we've already probably given it away in the last 2 hours of us talking about the meta that I don't think it is. So, but it's heading in the right direction. So I guess my like overall read on Wolf Scouts right now, and I'll talk through the rules in a second, is the most problematic and like toxic stuff that the team could do is now gone. Like, so like the leader making you -1 attacks when you fight him, and then as soon as you kill him, if you even kill him, he then counterattacks, fights you after doing D3+1 damage to you, so that like minimum, like you fight the leader and the minimum that you take is like 8 damage, assuming he rolls no hits, like, and like goes in. I'm like, absolutely not. Like, so that is gone. That is good to see that is gone, but I think this team needs some more nerfs. So Storm's Bite now only works when you're fighting, not when you're retaliating. Good change. That means that if you're a melee team, you actually have a way to be able to go in and kill these guys when you're fighting. And then Savage Fighters only works when they're retaliating. So yeah, it's not going to be they go in, they parry you out, and they kill you on the parry out. Like, cool, it's only going to be one way or the other. And you can now guard with your Fenrisian Wolf. Nice. And as I said, you can't use the counterattack Firepoi or do the additional damage after fighting if your leader dies during the fight. So you have to keep your leader alive to be able to do that. The main thing that affects is melee teams. So if you're a melee team, it's now way better going into Wolf Scouts than it was previously, because before, when you stacked all of that on top of each other, -1 attacks, D3+1 damage after you end up fighting, and the ability for them to then counterattack at the end of it, it was too much. Whereas now I think we're in a position where a melee team has a chance of being able to kill these guys, and it's not too oppressive. But I think this team is still going to do very well. And so I think this right now is probably going to be like a Wolf Scout meta for a little bit. And I think the weird thing that's going to potentially upset them is Murderwing. So I think Murderwing is a melee elite team that's going to be able to go in and kill them. I think Nemclaw can do well into Wolf Scouts now. So I think for me, like Murderwing, Nemclaw, Wolf Scouts, I think Mandrakes are still going to be fine. They were doing well beforehand, and I don't think the changes have changed it that much. Kate Community says good for Chaos Cults. Yeah, I agree. I think Chaos Cults are in a good place. So if you're like a team right now and you're looking at what you're going to be able to deal with, I think you have to have a good plan to how you're going to be able to deal with melee teams, because I think when you start getting to those rounds like 3 and 4, you should be expecting to be going into those sorts of teams, in my opinion. What's your thoughts and read on Wolf Scouts?
I was just thinking the change to Storm's Bite, was it previously that the Wolf Scout could be fighting within the storm and applying the debuff, and now the enemy operative needs to be within the storm as well? So if you're outside the storm,
so
take the -1.
It used to be like fighting or retaliating, and so if they were within your storm, they'd have -1 attacks on the weapons. Whereas now,
you have to be you have to be within the storm to get debuffed.
Where
so they can't fight you out the storm and debuff you at the same time.
Right. So yes. So if you're outside the storm and the Wolf Scout charges you, you're not going to be able to get you're not going to have your attacks reduced. No.
Yeah.
So
they still feel like the changes, I think, are good. That it takes away some of the power that they had when you were fighting against them. That the melee teams just didn't stand a chance when you were losing your attack dice. You're just going to get retaliated against as well. So it's nice that the melee teams can actually pose a bit of a threat to the Wolf Scouts. But I agree that they still have a lot of their kit to do some pretty nasty things to a lot of teams.
Yeah, and so like I mean, there's some of the comments like Rock Paper Scissors is now renamed to Chainsnares, Duelist, and Null Rod, and generally I think the vibe from a lot of people is they don't like playing in a Rock Paper Scissors Bazooka meta. No, I agree. I think like for me, I like it when teams have that flexibility, and like before Wolf Scouts were just like such a hard counter for melee teams. So now it's nice that I think melee teams have an in, and they're going to potentially be able to do well against them. So that's good as a change personally. I think, by the way, Leaks Feeks, it's my partner downstairs is listening to a very noisy program on TV. So I apologise if that's coming through onto the mic. I've asked to turn it down. It's just a rave in my own house. I mean, to be fair, it is party day. It's balanced Dataslate day. So what can you expect? Simon, a question from Mikkel. What have you been playing recently?
I've been playing Inquisition recently. I just fell back in love with them, and I've been having a great time. And some of my opponents have been having a less than great time when they think their ploys are going to happen. Just
keep telling them no. That's it.
This is great.
Next up, Wrecker Crew. So no changes here for Wrecker Crew. Although that being said, I think again when you look at the rest of the data slate in toto, this is a good data slate for Wrecker Crew. I think Wrecker Crew are going to do well out of this. They're one of those teams that can absolutely just dunk on like elites, and they have the raw damage potential to do really well into a lot of elite teams. So none of that has changed, and I think that's going to remain. And their durability is huge with the Just a Scratch. So like all of that, I think is great for Recruit, and I think this is going to be one of the teams that makes up the top 5 in the meta. Thoughts for you?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think I've come around more recently on just how powerful Wrecker Crew can be, and I think that they do have the potential damage output, both from their shooting and from their melee, to pose a legitimate threat to the elite teams that are hovering around the top of the meta at the moment.
Yeah, and I don't see any of that changing with this, to be honest. So I think, again, this is one of those things where if you're playing Red Crew, you have to look at the fact that what has happened to the other teams around you, and go, okay, now that they've been nerfed, I've got a good chance of being able to deal with them. And yeah, like Kate Community says, with the right roles, they can fight Murderwing. The one thing you have to be careful about as Wrecker Crew fighting Murderwing is the Chaos Lord can absolutely destroy a knob, so to speak, and because he can go in, do 1 damage on the charge, making you 13 wounds. Then with his Path to Damnation, he can inflict an additional damage, so he crits for 7 damage on his Lightning Claws. And then he hits you again for another 6, and that's essentially 14 damage in 2 hits with critical hits only, and therefore you die as an action, like from a single fight action from the Lord with his Relic Lightning Claws. So pretty terrifying. And as an elite player, like these guys scare me. They're absolutely terrifying, and I don't really know what the best solution is to play against them. Other than hope that they don't roll well. The best of plans. I
had a run of games. I think it was 5 squig rolls in a row where no squigs exploded against me. I'd shoot them, they just wouldn't roll.
Just wouldn't explode.
Dice. I was like, this is the 5th time this has happened.
Your Hexis didn't even shout at them.
No, they just didn't explode. It's great.
Maybe they heard about the Hexis that told them about to value their own lives over exploding. Cool, that's Wrecker Crew.
Right.
Wormblade, I don't have anything to say about Wormblade. I'm sure they're fine. They seem all right. I don't really. Yeah. There you go. This is an interesting one. Is stealth battlesuits not getting anything? I realise I've missed the T. That's really annoying. Too late now. We'll have to just look at that and accept it, and it's going to be there for a little while. So Chris Backey did a really interesting podcast talking on squad games about how to play stealth suits, which is pretty much how I thought like it would be, which is basically hide on advantages, abuse the fact you can't be shot from 3 inches away, use terrain to be able to like make it so people struggle to get to you, and then just play like a really slow, horrible game where no one scores any points, but you maybe score 1 more than your opponent. And I don't know, like this is the thing. Like, do we like should a team be changed because they're not fun? Like, because I don't think that's fun for either player. But maybe that's just me. Maybe other people out there saying, actually, I love the way stealth suits play. But like, I think that they could be given a whole bunch of offensive buffs to make them more killy and more engaging, more active. And then just say like the stealth suit field goes from 3 inches to 6 inches, or at least 4 inches. And the reason why I say that is because, as it stands, if you're on advantage, like you cannot be shot unless someone is on the same advantage as you, and that's really easy to screen out, and just means that people can't get there. And I don't think that's good for the game. So I think making it 6 would be interesting. So yeah. Do you have any thoughts on stealth suits? Have you played?
I've played into stealth suits once, and I think that for players when they play into stealth suits for the first time, you just realise that you're playing such a different game to any other team. And you're like, oh, okay, this is what I should be doing. Is you're going to hang back and not engage with me as I get close. And it's like, well, what if I also did the same? I think having played my game into them, I would play it quite differently now, and it would be a very cagey game.
Yeah, I think it's.
I don't think they have the play style to win a tournament. I think because by the time you reach round 3, there'll be someone who's playing Murder Wing and they've nearly maxed their scores because they've just been a blender. They've picked up the objectives and just blended their opponents, and you'll have won your games, but you won't have won them on such big swings on the crit up.
Yeah.
And probably not the kill up if your opponent has played a very defensive game.
So they're like a team where if you're aiming to win an event, particularly with the way a lot of events are right now, where you don't have a single undefeated winner. Like if you're going to an event where tiebreakers matter, then I think that it's like imperative that you like don't play this team, because you're only ever winning by a small margin, and therefore you're not maxing scores, and there's going to be someone that is maxing scores. And then, as you said, then like I think a lot of this team's like ability to play the game is essentially hiding on advantages, and then moving out at the end to punish with fusion. Well, like that's great until someone can activate after you and can get on your advantage easier than you can get on your own advantage, because you have to spend a CP to be able to fly up there, and they don't. So I think with that, like, it's going to be really difficult to play stealth suits in a way that matters. Cake Community says they need more double shoot to make them more aggressive. Like, yeah, I think for me, like, it's the I think that their marker drone should have the ability to hand out like a +1 to hit as an AP action. So you choose someone, it's called like high intensity marker light, whatever. You select them, and then you can then use, when shooting them, remove a token and get yourself +1 to hit. And burst cannons, you can shoot twice. The second time you shoot, it costs 2 APL or something, or something like that. And just, but the trade-off is if you give them all that offensive output, then you need to reduce their stealth fields. And so I think if you did that, it would be an interesting game. Yeah, and like it's occasionally says, like, do stealth suits want opponent win percentage as their first tiebreaker? I think they absolutely do want opponent win percentage as their first tiebreaker. But like, now you're into this whole thing of like, okay, I'm taking a team, I'm not going to score well. I now want to be paired into good opponents to try and hope to do it, but like it just gets difficult. So you might find them get third place quite a lot, maybe, but I don't think you'll see them often taking the gold, unless it's you can go for a full undefeated run. And now I think there's some real counters out there that they're just going to struggle to deal with. And I don't really know how you play with them or against them to make that change. But hey, that is all the changes. What do you think, Simon? Do you think it's a good Dataslate? Do you think it's a bad Dataslate? Do you think it went far enough, not far enough?
I think it's a good Dataslate. I think we've had some good changes in there. We've had hits to all the teams that we wanted to see hits to. I think some of the teams at the top, still your Wolf Scouts and your Canoptic, are still strong teams, and I think that you will still see them at tournaments at the top tables. It's nice to see a few of the team. I'm just looking directly at Kazakin. It's so good to see Kazakin just getting more buffs. I don't think anyone in the community doesn't want Kazakin to get more buffs. I think collectively we all want it to happen. We just want to see them do better. But I think that these changes to those teams, to Canoptic, to Deathwatch, and to Wolf Scouts, just before we see Murderwing released, is just going to mean that there's a slightly easier time for Murderwing to move in to the meta. I think it's going to take its place at the top, and I think until we see further changes to that, I think that's probably what we'll see, is probably still see Canoptic, Wolf Scouts, Deathwatch sort of around the top of the meta, and then Murderwing just sitting on top of that.
Yeah, so I was like, I was trying to think analytically about this data slate, and I was like, is this a good data slate or is it a bad data slate, from like trying to remove the personality from it. And so if you look at currently right now, the top 5 teams are Wolf Scouts, Canoptek, Mandrakes, Felgor, and Chaos Cult. And Wolf Scouts, Canoptek, Mandrakes, and Felgor have all received nerfs, some more than others, but flank for all of them have got worse. So like that affects Felgor as it goes. and the rest of them all receive nerfs. So the top teams have all been hit. I think Wolf Scouts will still remain relevant. I think Canoptech is still going to be sort of an A tier team, and they're not going to be not existent, but they're probably not going to be dominant, which is good. Same can be said for Mandrakes. I think they're still going to be good, but not out there doing all the crazy stuff they used to. And I looked at like the bottom teams, and it's like Hyrotech, Scouts, Battleclade, Plague Marines, and Salvagers are the bottom 5 teams right now, and they all receive buffs. So when you look at it from objectively, and you look at it as an overall thing for the meta, like actually all the teams with the worst win rates, and there's more in there, like so Breaches are down there, Kazakin are down there, Rattlings are down there, like Angel Death are down there, Stealth Suits and Blaze of Cain are also down there with Jaeger, and they didn't get buffs. But like a lot of these teams that are down in those levels all receive buffs, and all the teams above them, like the problematic teams, all receive nerfs. So overall, like this is a good data slate. It's a good data slate for the game. I think it's making some real good changes. Has it gone far enough? Great question. I think you could always say that you want more from a data slate, right? Like there's the wish list is endless of things that people want to change. But I think this is good for Killteam and for the next 3 months. So again, like I've said it before, but like Games Workshop are paying attention, and like so clearly from a stats point of view, the top teams stats wise have all been nerfed. The bottom teams, like stats wise, have all been buffed. So that's got to do something, right? And it's like how much change do you want? It's probably an interesting question to have.
Yeah, I think whilst sometimes when there are teams which are sitting right at the top of the meta and people would like them to receive nerfs, it can be better for the teams to receive those hits like one at a time and then give it a chance to play out and then see where we are, rather than if a team sticks its neck out too far, that's it, and it's removed from the meta, it's entirely had its identity stripped from it or all its power. So I think seeing those, like the chips away at those higher teams, and hopefully some more buffs for those teams sort of sitting in the lower brackets, and sort of just close the divide between the very top of the meta and the bottom, just like bring it in a little bit, be good.
Yeah, and I mean like so I just like again just my sort of thinking on Wolf Scouts, and as you say, like I don't know how long ago this data slate got written, but let's say it was like a month ago, or if it was 2 months ago, like it's a challenge, right, to know what's problematic within a team and then change it like accordingly. I don't know what the lead time is for them to be able to create all the apps and the PDFs, but it's probably a bit of time. So like if they like I think Wolf Scouts got away with it in a little bit in this data slate, but also they got like all of their problematic stuff got hit, which means that they definitely got the Iris Sauron on them, right? like in 3 months' time, like I guarantee you that they're going to get revisited, and at that point they're going to have a whole lot more data to know what to change and what to fix. So that's probably a good thing to look at. Luke's asked what team I'm thinking about playing on Saturday. So for those who don't know, in London on the 31st, yeah, it's the Darksphere event. So I'm going down to play on that. I have no idea what I want to play. So my Wolf Scouts aren't painted, so I won't take them. They're built. I've kit bashed them, but they're not painted. So I won't put grey plastic on the table. I'll try and have some moral integrity. I have done it before, so I won't pretend I'm too good, but like I will pretend. So I've got like Deathwatch. I could run. I could run my AOD. I could pick up Kazakin. I've got Kazakin good to go. I can't take my Star Striders because I'm pretty sure it's a classified event, so that's a shame. So I'm probably leaning towards like AOD, maybe Kazakin.
Any chance of taking Scouts?
If I had Scouts ready to go, then I'd be interested. But I don't have Scouts ready to go, so no. Because I don't have it. But I would be interested to play them. I think scouts are in a cool place. I don't know how well they do against some of these problematic teams. Billy Birdie says the light touch data slates are better than the big hits that cause wild swings and unintentional problems. Yeah, I mean we've seen in the past where you overcorrect and you buff someone too far, and then suddenly you've got this accidental problematic team for 3 months or longer. Mikhail says, I'm just happy they made some somewhat notable changes to a team in its first data slate post-release. Yeah, that's true, right? Like, so, I mean, people always say that they want like Games Workshop to react quicker and faster, right? And they say like, oh, they need to do more changes sooner. But historically, they pretty much didn't change like teams in their first data slate at all. And Murdering and Session Incidents haven't been released, and 2 of their rules that are problematic rules have already been removed. So like, yeah, that's good to see, because I was worried that we wouldn't see those at all. Yeah, there was a risk that we didn't see any changes in this data slate for those things. And then Tom Shaw says, can't wait to see a nerf to the Ventura car in 3 months. And he deserves it, Tom. He deserves it. The nerf
it requires them to be a valid target within 3 inches.
Within control range. No, the nerf is that there's going to be sisters where you can't even put them on the table. So only can, but we'll see. What else we got here? So new universal equipment is to all teams is Null Rod, but only works on Ventura Car Nemesis Claw. Yeah. If they hit the durability of Wolf Scouts to Horde and shooting teams, I think that would have helped. The piercing reduction needed to either change to piercing crits or end if the medic dies. So a few things in there. So I think that the piercing reduction equipment that Wolf Scouts have, if that works in the storm only, then you can't charge out of the storm and also get your piercing reduction. I think that'd be a nice change. I think that I think it's not the Rune Priest. It's a spiritual Churgi rule. He's called the Wolf Scout Medic, whatever his actual name is. I think is Rune Priest. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, no, that's the other guy. Doesn't matter. The medic, he should get the Magus treatment. So it should become a strat ploy, and he has to choose if he wants to ignore injury or ignore APL modifiers. And then teams that hand out a whole bunch of stun could then, I think, do that. I think that'd be a really nice change. I think if they had the piercing reduction only working in the storm, and they had that sort of like you can only get to do like one of these benefits, and you have to choose as a strat ploy, as a strategic gambit, and then also if he dies, you now don't get to do it. Is a good way of making it so you don't just throw this medic forward and start shooting people. Yeah, I think that'd be a valid change. And then also cool to see that Star Striders have been updated. I completely agree. I think it's like Star Striders won so big out of this data slate. I think it's an absolutely incredible change to Star Striders. I think they look absolutely awesome. But yeah. And yeah, I think they have put a lot of they won't buff classified team concerns to shame. Yeah, absolutely. Like GW said at the start of this edition, hey, we are going to continue to balance adjust like classified and declassified teams, and we'll do it until they're properly rotated out. And I think a load of people said that's not true, they won't do that. And I think when a bunch of the teams got nerfed, they were like, they're going to nerf them into irrelevance and then leave them irrelevant. And now actually it's just showing that they are committed. So they've stuck to their word, they're doing it, and they're constantly adjusting and adapting the game. So yeah, I completely agree. Do you have any final thoughts or things that you want to cast over the data slate, Simon?
No, I think I've been happy to see the changes that we've got, and I think with you sort of backing up with the data, it shows that that Games Workshop is paying attention to what is happening within this meta and is looking to correct it. I think we'll see a bit of a shift with Murderwing enter, but then hopefully once they take their hit in the future, I'll be interested to see where the meta lies as other teams hopefully get brought up.
For sure. thank you very much for coming on, by the way, and doing this with me. I think it's useful to have a sounding board to be able to bounce ideas off of and get some different perspectives. Hopefully people have enjoyed the Dataslate overview. I am planning to do a few more things on TPT. So we're looking at how we can try and get back into bat reps is one of the things that we're trying to do. So Mikkel just realised that state claim has gone from accurate 1 to the if you get a miss you can retain a hit, and if you get a hit you can retain a crit. Like, yeah, dude, it's absolutely bonkers. It's so good. Like, it's so good. I'm pretty sure it works on the assets as well, but don't tell anyone. Shh. It does. Like, shh, it's fine. Anyway, I hope people have enjoyed that. As I said, I'll put this up as a video as well, as people can watch it in their own time. Thank you for bearing with the audio issues at the start. This is a new setup for me at home trying to do streaming, and I don't have my normal tech support that I would rely on. Usually I have people for this, so it's just me. But no, it's good to try and talk about these things. So maybe we'll make this a regular thing, Simon. Maybe every time a Dataslate comes out, we'll sit down and chat through it. But I know you're going to potentially help me out with some MetaWatch stuff as well, which would be awesome. So appreciate you coming on. Again, thank you to Simon for running the Talkify event. So if you're looking for Killteam events and you want to try and get amongst it, you absolutely can do by going on to talkify.com/KT events, and you'll see all of the UK events that are up and coming. You can see me in London on Saturday if you want to come and play there, where I'll probably be playing maybe AOD or Kazakin, or it's not Murder Wing or War Scouts. I'm running out of teams that I can play that are. I could play Inquisition maybe, or Exaction. Maybe I take Exaction out for a spin. Ooh, they've got some buffs. I don't know. What do you guys think in the comments? Like, what would you want me to play? You can drop it down there.
I'd like to see you on Inquisition as well.
On Inquisition,
play a bit of Kazakin, a bit of Exaction. It's like a little tasting platter.
The problem is like I've been playing Elites for so long now that I feel like going back to those Horde teams would be emotional. Mikkel just said, usually Ryan has people taping a phone to a stand, and it's like, yes, that is actually it. There is, believe it or not, no blue tack has been used in the production of this stream, which is testament to the patron, really, because I've actually been able to upgrade into non-blue tack items. So I do appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you on Saturday if you're going to be there. So I hope you enjoyed that stream. I'll end it where we are. Thank you very much for watching, and you can see both myself and Simon on the channel again in the not too distant future, I am sure. But it's a brand new world for Killteam. Happy Balanced Dataslate Day. Let's go rejoice and go into a brand new meta and figure out what is best. There's got to be some good counter meta picks at being able to beat Wolf Scouts. Let's just find them. It's probably Wreckers. All right. We'll see you all later. Take it easy.